embrace more creation and disruption. In his words, increase the Brahma and Mahesh quotient and move away from excessive preservation. Too much Vishnu is what Uday Kotak had to say. Now, implicit in Kotak's message is the need for leaders to not just adapt to change, but to drive it. Don't be bystanders, but be drivers of category creation. Resilience is not just the ability to absorb shocks, but also to be able to use present activities to build on the future. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the last few years, India's story has been told through the lens of confidence, growth, scale, consumption, digital infrastructure, and capital formation. Now, all of that still remains true, but 2026 is asking a harder question. Who can keep building when capital becomes selective, input costs turn volatile, and the external environment refuses to stay benign? That is what this room represents. The leaders on this stage tonight are not here because India's story is easy. They're here because they've navigated the parts of it that are not. Tonight is about that kind of leadership. It's about capital. It's about experience. It's about category creation. It is about the future of where and how India works and what it means to build a truly knowledge-driven enterprise in a country that's becoming central to the world's knowledge economy. Now, Warren Buffett once said, only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. The tide has not gone out in India, but it has pulled back enough to show us who's been building and who's been merely staying afloat. So it is time to focus on building IP, building globally relevant brands, building businesses that have strong balance sheets, but even stronger ambition. It is time to create an environment that truly allows 1,000 flowers to bloom. And that is the spirit that we hope to celebrate and recognize tonight. Before we get things started, a sincere thank you to WeWork India, our presenting partner, to PhonePe, our co-presenting partner, for supporting conversations that matter most precisely when the environment makes them harder to have. So welcome once again to the CNBC-TV18 Titans, a room for resilient leaders building India's next chapter, not just describing it. And now we begin tonight's experience with a truly special tribute to India's timeless cultural heritage. It is an honor to present a rare musical performance that brings together legacy, tradition, and extraordinary artistry across 3 generations of one of India's most celebrated musical families. The sarod has remained one of the most iconic instruments in Indian classical music, and few have elevated its global legacy like the Grammy-winning sarod grandmaster Ustad Amjad Ali Khan Saab. Joining him on stage are his sons, the acclaimed musicians Aman Ali Bangash and Ayan Ali Bangash, along with the youngest torchbearers of this remarkable lineage, Zohan Ali Bangash and Abir Ali Bangash. Together, they form the extraordinary 3-generation sarod quintet, 5 artists, 3 generations, 1 unforgettable performance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Namaskar. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here and to offer our musical services to CNBC-TV18. Music is a precious gift of God. Swar hi Ishwar hai. Music has connected the world, and music does not belong to any religion like flowers, air, water, fire, fragrance, colors. So we would like to dedicate the concert to the peace and harmony of the world. Thank you very much. Please give a big hand to our tabla player, Pandit Tanmay Bose. And Pandit Vijay Natesan. My elder son, Aman Ali Bangash. And Ayan Ali Bangash. And the twin boys, Abir and Zuhan. We will conclude with a beautiful traditional rag, Yaman, and Ragmala after that.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we witnessed this evening was far more than a musical performance. It was a powerful celebration of legacy, tradition, artistry, and the timeless spirit of Indian classical music. Across generations, the Sarod has carried stories, emotions, and history to its music, and tonight we had the privilege of experiencing that extraordinary legacy come alive on stage through a truly rare coming together of one remarkable musical family. On behalf of WeWork India, CNBC-TV18 and PhonePe, a heartfelt gratitude to Grammy-winning Sarod Grandmaster Ustad Amjad Ali Khan, Aman Ali Bangash, Ayan Ali Bangash, Zohan Ali Bangash, and Abir Ali Bangash. Thank you for an unforgettable performance that beautifully bridged generations while reminding us of the richness of India's cultural heritage. Their music has not only entertained us this evening, but has also given us a moment of reflection, connection, and inspiration that will stay with us all long after tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please once again join me in giving a huge round of applause to the extraordinary three-generation Sarod Quintet. Shireen, request you to kindly take the evening forward. And once again, thank you for that magical performance. We couldn't have asked for a better way to kickstart the evening. And I could see, Ayan, you were telling the boys to smile while they were playing. And of course, I guess, let me start with you, Khan. You know, this evening we're celebrating endurance, we're celebrating the spirit of resilience, we're celebrating what it takes to actually survive through ups and downs, boom and bust cycles. You know, you've been playing the Sarod, you've been performing, and you were even younger than Zohan and Abir when you actually started performing. I want to understand from you, Khan Sahab, share with everyone who's watching us here tonight and those who are watching us on TV and online. What do you think is the X factor? What does it take to build a timeless legacy?
I think it's very, very important to have blessings of your guru and all the senior people. The credit goes of Abir and Zohan today, the credit goes to their parents, Ayan Ali Bangash and Nima Sharma. And the blessings is most important. We believe in blessings and we are all the time trying to connect ourselves with God Almighty. And that is why we say, Swar hi Ishwar hai. So I hope everybody is connected with music because it's a very, as I said, precious gift. And if you listen to music with concentration, you will receive all the positive effect of the music, any kind of music.
I think everyone here will unequivocally agree that we have taken that spirit, we've taken those positive vibes thanks to the performance that we got to witness today. We had the pleasure and privilege of witnessing today. But Khan Sahab, तहजीब होती है, तालीम होती है और काबिलियत होती है. पर उसके अलावा भी, what do you think is actually required to make an extraordinary, could be a musician, could be a sports player, could be anything. What do you think is that extra that somebody needs to focus on?
I think most important thing is determination. And the children, when they realize the responsibility, like Aman is the elder brother and Ayan is younger brother, but they also began their journey from the age of 5 and 6. And all the hard work, I would like Aman to share his thoughts.
Okay. Aman, the mic is yours. As you go through your own journey, and now you see Zohan and Abir's journey, how different is it?
Well, being Zohan and Abir's elder brother feels very nice. But anyway, they're my friends, they're my colleagues. And it's a beautiful experience sharing. I mean, you met us, Ayan and me, way back, Shireen, when we had started off as young people. And to be sharing the stage with my brother and his kids and my father, it's a pleasure and it's a very happy moment. So yeah, so we have fun together on stage.
It truly is a special moment. I would like to believe we're still young. I don't know about you. I'd like to believe we're still young. But let me ask you. You managed to skip school today to be here this evening?
Yes.
And do you enjoy being on stage performing?
Yeah, yes, I enjoy it. Like, it's an amazing experience to be on stage and perform with my family, and I hope that this continues in the future.
This continues in the future. Who's more strict? Is Kansa more strict or is your dad more strict?
It has to be my dad because Dadava he lets us do anything, but Abbas I'd say a bit more firm when it comes to teaching us.
He's a bit more firm. So you're the disciplinarian in this relationship.
Well, he's not getting ice cream tonight. No, but you know, the thing is that none of this was planned. I think when COVID had happened, the silver lining was that I was home. I was not traveling, so I was able to put in all that time. And then, you know, they showed good results. But, you know, you're a student till the last day you walk this planet. So they have to keep practicing if this is what they want to pursue. And it's a long journey. I tell them, you know, to have humility and to keep working very hard. And you see, the sense of responsibility cannot be inculcated. I can teach them, but that has to come from within. So they need blessings and good wishes.
Yes. Okay. I will come to the mother as well. Nima, thank you so much for being here. You know, as you see them all up on stage, what is it that you go through? What do you experience? Is the performance pressure being shared by you as well?
I think it's a mix of excitement and just a lot of gratitude for the love that I feel as a mother going towards Abir and Zohan. And a lot of, I think it's their journey, and I don't think I get nervous. I think it's excitement, not so much nervousness, and just a lot of gratitude, because as a parent, that's what you want. You just want blessings and love and goodness, and I feel a lot of that here. So thank you very much. I would like to thank all of you for all the love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nima. And yes, plenty of love is going to be coming their way. But Ayan, you know, I want to understand from you, one of the things that, you know, you talked about responsibility. Ustad ji has, of course, been performing for 60 plus years now. You take that legacy forward. But there is a certain perception around Indian classical music. There's a certain perception around specific instruments as well. Do you believe that you can make it more accessible? You can make it more accessible to a younger audience? Do those thoughts sort of, you know, capture the way that you perform, the way that you put your craft together?
No, definitely. I think I was very fortunate to get that atmosphere at home, thanks to my mother also, you know, who was an artist, is an artist. But I think my brother and I always wanted to take Sarod to newer spaces, because I think my father already did what the instrument could say in a technical level. He already made it sing, weep, scream, whisper, laugh. So today, my brother and I do a lot of interesting collaborations, and that is something that we really look forward to. Recently, we worked with the Gorillas and Young Blood at Lollapalooza. So all these things, it's great fun, because there's a very deep message when you do collaborations, that music is beyond borders, and we're all one race, the human race, and I hope we celebrate love and harmony within each other always.
You know, Kasab, you always say that music doesn't belong to any religion. It's like fire, fragrance, flowers, etc. It belongs to humanity. We're living in an era where the world is obsessed now with AI and what AI can do. How do you look at AI and what it can potentially do to music?
It's very difficult to understand. And many times my grandchildren, they tell me, Dadaba, it's a fake photograph, it's a fake news. So I'm sure every subject has a positive and negative side. I'm sure the world will achieve something more, much greater through AI. But for music, I don't know how much AI can contribute. For music, one has to only do riyaz, sadhana, tapasya, and humility, samarpan to Guru. Because classical music is something that you feel or you enter in a dark tunnel with the hope of sun rays someday. It's a long journey. So I'm very happy that Abir Zohan, they are connected with mobile and iPad and the wildlife, but at the same time when Ayan asked them to practice, they are always available. And do you love music?
Yes. How much? A lot.
A lot. What kind of music are you listening to?
Like anything, like I listen to like all types of music. I listen to all types of music and like whatever's good.
Whatever is good. But let me ask you as well. When all of you are performing together, you're pretty much playing the same rag, but each one of you has your own interpretation. Each one of you has your own individual styles, and yet you can collectively bring it all together. What's the secret there?
Well, I think, Shrina, it's all about we all pretty much know each other's nature. You know, music is not, firstly, it's about having an individual approach to it. But like my dad learned from his father, wanted to be like him. Ayan and I want to be like him, but I don't think we can, but we're trying. So, like Abir Zohan would like to be like their father or grandfather. So the thing is that we all try to not copy, but we get inspired. But because we know each other so well, when we're on stage, it's not about excelling by yourself, but it's about how we can complement the other person on stage and how that person can excel much better. So it's a collective, it's a ship that we all sail together. And I don't know if I was actually sorry, I was packing all this stuff, I'm sorry. But I'd like to thank Nima, the kid's mother, who's really done a great job. Ayan Supai's wife, and I think, God's been very kind. Thank you.
We appreciate the fact that you can all collectively sort of give us the magic that you created here this evening. Kasa, before we let you go, what is it that you would like to say to young musicians? What is it that you would like to say to young professionals who are entering the workforce today? What would your message be to people on what it takes to run a marathon just as you have?
I remember my father, my guru, Ustad Hafiz Ali Khan Sahab. We belong to Gwalior, as you know. He often said, Bardasht or Sabr. Bardasht or Sabr hi ibadat hai. So we have to, everybody, they have their own puja, part, prayers and all that. But the world has become so intolerant. So children have become so intolerant. So this is Bardasht or Sabr ibadat hai. If you can be tolerant, if you can be patient, perhaps you can achieve your goal of life. अगर आपके अंदर बर्दाश्त है, सब्र है, तो शायद आप अपनी मंजिल तक पहुंच सकते हैं.
What a wonderful message to start the evening and its conversations. Bardasht, sabr, patience and tolerance are the key to actually building resilience, building endurance, and to building whatever high-achieving career you choose to. Ustad Amjad Ali Khan, Ayan, Aman, Zohan and Abir, thank you so much for joining us here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause before we say goodbye to them. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again to the Three Generation Sarod Quintet, and thank you so much, Shireen. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, India's growth story today is being shaped by a new generation of businesses, leaders, and ideas redefining the way we work, innovate, and build for the future. At the center of this transformation is the evolving workplace itself, a space that is becoming more flexible, collaborative, and deeply connected to how modern enterprises grow and succeed. Today, we have someone instrumental in shaping this evolution in India. Under his leadership, WeWork India has emerged as one of the country's leading flexible workspace platforms, redefining how businesses, entrepreneurs, and enterprises collaborate and grow in a rapidly evolving work environment. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Karan Veervani, the Managing Director and CEO of WeWork India.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. And thank you to CNBC for helping us host this event. Shireen, I don't know if you heard the Prime Minister right. He didn't say work from home. He actually said work from a WeWork close to you in his speech yesterday. So I think that comment, from the Prime Minister and also what you mentioned about Mr. Kotak and what he was saying, really sort of resonates with what we're trying to sort of get out here in terms of, Titans and where the next version of Titan comes to. So let me just start with, a very simple question, which is, who wins this next decade, right? Not just in business or in markets, but in terms of shaping what this country actually becomes. For a long time, India's role in the global economy was we supply talent, we build products, we scale companies, and we solved hard problems, but mostly for other people's businesses and balance sheets. And we became exceptionally good at it. And a big part of that came from global businesses actually scaling and building here at scale. That's something that we see firsthand at WeWork India daily. Almost 70% of our business comes from companies, GCCs, multinationals, actually setting up in India, using India's talent to build businesses for them. And that matters because as world-class companies actually build in India, that talent also starts to compound. People learn how to operate large businesses, how to build products, how to move fast, and how to think globally. Now you're starting to see the next chapter of that story, where more founders are taking that experience that they've learned in building these companies and actually starting to build companies of their own from India to the world. This shift is bigger than most people realize because for the first time, all the ingredients are actually here at once. We have talent, we have capital, we have a market that's at scale, we have infrastructure and ambition, and more increasingly, young India is building confidence. At WeWork India, we see this every day across the country, where founders are building new categories, companies are scaling faster than they expected, and global businesses are treating India not just as a back office, but a global hub for their businesses. And you can really see this momentum changing. At WeWork India, that's exactly the role that we want to play. We don't want to be just an office space provider, and we honestly stopped looking at ourselves as a real estate company a long time ago. We want to build the infrastructure layer that helps this ambition grow. We want to help companies start in India, scale, and grow globally from India. Because when businesses around us grow, we want to grow with them. And I think what makes this moment so exciting and so interesting for the country is, for years, India's actually helped build global businesses. Now, increasingly, global businesses are being built from India. And that shift, because that's a very different shift, because once a country starts building globally significant businesses from the ecosystem and within the ecosystem, it compounds so quickly. I think India is very close to that moment, or closer to that moment than most people realize. And India doesn't need to be the next Silicon Valley. India needs to just be the first India. And I think people building through this next decade will shape not just the future, what Indian businesses are, but the future, what global businesses will become as well. And with that, I want to welcome you to the Titans. And thank you all for being here. And thank you to CNBC again.
Thank you, Karan, for those insightful thoughts. Now, this has been quite a start to the very first edition of Titans. Moving on, the next phase of India's growth story will be shaped as much by the flow of capital as by the ideas it chooses to back. And today, India's investment landscape is at a very interesting inflection point. Private capital markets continue to show strong momentum, with PE and VC investments touching over $60 billion in 2025, while India-focused fundraising has reached record highs. But at the same time, the mindset around investing is evolving. The conversation is no longer just about chasing scale or growth at any cost. Investors today are looking deeper at governance, profitability, long-term value creation, and sustainable business models. So what does this next investment cycle look like? Which sectors will attract long-term conviction? And how are investors navigating a more disciplined and globally connected capital environment? To lead this conversation, please welcome Prashant Nair from CNBC TV18. And joining him for the discussion, please put your hands together for Rishabh Mariwala, founder and managing partner, Sharp Ventures, Manish Kejriwal, founder and managing partner, Kedara Capital, and Gopal Jain, co-founder and managing partner, Gaja Capital. And we also have Krishna Ramachandran, managing partner and COO, TVS Capital Funds. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our distinguished panel with a big round of applause. Prashant, over to you.
Thanks very much, Shruti, for that. Thank you, gentlemen. Please. I think the musical performance was uplifting. It was up and up, and it was bright, and it was lively. Markets, though, have been a bit, what should I say? I mean, the notes have been sort of dark and a little unsettling, and especially public markets. But we've got people here, true titans, and thanks all of you for being here, part of the panel. And these are people who sort of see businesses. I mean, we talk about public markets all the time. But, in public markets, businesses are already many years old and they've matured and they've attained a certain sort of size, scale, in whatever businesses they're in, whatever categories they're in. But these are people who see businesses far, ahead of, far before they list, in their infancy, when they're starting to build out. So they're in that sense, the risk takers. And I think that their capital is very important if we need to sort of fuel this new investment cycle. And of course, domestic capital base has become very large, even compared to 10, 15 years ago. So once again, thank you very much for being part of the panel. Manish, I want to start with you. Is the music a little dull and unsettling? And I don't know, or is the music slowing down? If I were to borrow from the phrase from a famous movie.
Is it the music we were hearing right before we started?
The music in markets.
That music was excellent.
that was excellent.
No, first, Prashant, Sharon, thanks for having us. Pleasure being here. Listen, I think the difference between private and public markets is just, what we do is public market guys are on edge every day. Frankly, I don't know what the markets did today. Did it go up or go down? I know it went down, but Sharon, I sure would give me all the facts. Thank you. But my point is, it shouldn't matter to us to a certain extent, right? Because we play what I would call is the long game. Not better, not worse, just different. Our lives are relatively simple. We make 3 or 4 investments, maybe 5, 6, at least in the private equity side where we function. Both control and non-control. And it is patient long-term capital. The only things which change when I look at a 25 versus a 26, as I was talking about outside, last year we had buoyancy, right? There was madness in the markets. The public markets were on fire. Sponsor-to-sponsor sales were going up. Strategics were looking at acquisitions. In times like this, remember, our capital is, unlike Rishabh and that's his permanent capital. We are fiduciaries for other investors. And all we can do is be responsible providers of that capital. And hence, in years like last year, we stepped back on new investments given the valuations, but really accelerated divestments and money back to. So last year, to give you a sense, our normal ratio of new investments to exit is about 1 to 1. A little bit more on the exit side. Last year, it was 3.5 to 1. We returned almost $2 billion to our investors. Vishal itself, we had one exit of $1.2 billion. So
I believe that was the most.
But I'm saying that was last year.
Yeah.
This year, the public markets, as you know, and Sharon reminds us today, it's not a time for the faint-hearted, right? So what do? Your playbook changes. Your level of divestments will go down. Our DPI will not look as good in 26 as in 27. But hopefully, the 20 companies we were looking at acquiring, but always was beyond our reach last year, now will become closer to reach. Now, remember, private markets take time to react vis-a-vis public. We are still 3, 6, 9 months behind. The public markets have corrected, intensively so. The private markets will get there, but the mood is getting pessimistic. I think all of us, from a deployment perspective, would want this pessimism to remain. But remember, our life is about both making good investments, but more importantly, getting exits. So this year, we will probably have a ratio where we'll deploy more money than take out. But at the end of the day, it's a cycle. It's yings and yangs in life. And you have a 10-year window, not a 10-day or a 10-hour window.
That's very well put, Manish. And I think what you said, so private markets will mark to market in that sense in about 3 to 6 months. I mean, that's the lead lag between public and private markets. Just one more question. I mean, in public markets, we talk about it all the time, so much anxiety and hand-wringing about why foreign capital is staying away. I mean, actually, why is it actively selling? And Gopal and I were talking about it just outside. What is your sense, Manish? What is the, I've heard lack of AI, taxation, I mean, just valuations, perhaps earnings growth has slowed down. What are the really...
Two very different pools of capital. You have the global investors, for which India is far less relevant today. For multiple reasons. When you have increasing interest rate climate in the US, which people expect, money will flow back. When there's uncertainty, you go towards gold, you go towards markets which are more shorter. Your overall portfolio, you want to de-risk. Even our largest investors and global investors have a paucity of capital. They haven't got the distribution in the last 2 or 3 years as they were expecting. China was weak. So if you have an Asia allocation and China has not returned capital, which was the most amount of private equity, things are... So their new deployment goes down in public and private markets. So at least in the public markets, they're withdrawing capital. The domestic pool, I would say, I would disagree. There is a degree of nervousness. Most of us who think we're good public, we get it wrong. You always sell when the market is falling. You buy when the market is peak. You should do the reverse as usual. So, but I think the overall flows, and again, Shirin will correct me, I'm sure, but the overall flows into the public markets for domestic capital is increasing month on month because of the SIPs. That's an amount of, so if you look at it 10 years ago and you had to price an IPO, we would fly to Singapore and meet with a Fidelity or a Capital or one of those guys. Today, you go to BKC and you meet SBI, HDFC, ICICI mutual funds, and that's how you fix your pricing. That hasn't changed. The level of buoyancy and what they can afford and their negotiating leverage on you when you're doing an IPO also enhances. So I think it's a tempering. I think the tempering is a good thing. And hopefully for us, it'll mean a chance to deploy more capital.
Absolutely. Gopal, you want to comment on the same question in terms of why is foreign capital a little nervous at this point?
First of all, it depends on which music you've been listening to, right? In private markets had a record year last year, even though public markets, there's a liquidation trade in public markets. But in private markets, we saw well over 50 billion, close to $60 billion being invested. And if you look at the source capital of the 60 billion, more than 50%, close to 60, 70% is foreign capital. So foreign investors in private markets continue to buy, while foreign markets and public markets. So this nuance is very important. And I know it's being very simplistic, but if you conflate, say, private markets with a longer-term view of the market, then investors with a longer-term view of the market, investors like us, I've been investing in India professionally for 35 years. I made my first private investment 31 years ago. India has been a structural bull market for 35 years, and every 4 or 5 years, there is something that happens that gives you a window to buy. And the reason that happens is because we have a twin deficit problem. So whenever the world sneezes, we catch a cold. We should have solved this by now, but we still have a structural vulnerability. Right? So every time in the last 35 years, the shock that we get every 4 or 5 years has been a good time to buy. And I think people who see this pattern, investment activity funded by foreign capital, even within public markets, as Manish was saying, while we might be seeing a liquidation by foreign investors, as far as domestic institutional investors. And for a minute, again, while being simplistic, conflate them closer to where India is, and foreign investors have choices, they have other things to look at, they've been buying, yes. But that still leaves a question, why are foreign investors in public markets liquidating, yes.
To raise a private fund, there should be no problem. Foreign money, if you were to raise a
Well, 10 years ago, if you wanted to raise a private fund, you only had foreign money.
Yeah.
But what's changed about India is India has become a large economy.
Yeah.
Private equity works in large economies. In large economies, private equity works with both domestic capital and foreign capital. When we started, nearly 100% of our external capital used to come from foreign investors. And now there is so much domestic capital. So it depends on who you're talking to. But I would say that if there is, for new time managers, I think it's much easier to raise capital. Yes, raising money from foreign investors is difficult for everybody except Manish Kejriwal. But in general, I would say there's still a lot of appetite for India, for the Indian story. And there is a growing appetite because India is a savings factory of the world. We are 4% of global GDP. We are 7% of global savings. There isn't enough global Indian savings that is making its way into alternatives. That is changing. And as that changes, this is going to inflate the alternative sector and make it possible for people to raise larger and larger amounts of capital.
Actually, so many public market investors have become not private equity investors, but maybe VCs and so on and so forth. They've all going back and back and back and maybe that's competition for you guys when you go in for deals, etc. You talked about raising money and how to price an IPO, but perhaps competition for deals also has perhaps gone up because of, I guess, a lot of large, all kinds of investors who are now looking for businesses in their infancy as they're starting out, etc. So that point is taken. Rishabh, just what's your perspective? And I mean, as Manish said, it's permanent capital. So maybe there is a...
Yeah, so, firstly, thanks for having me and pleasure being here today. I think, from our perspective at Sharp Ventures, which is our family office, we are quite focused and, we do a whole bunch of very early stage and then we do some opportunistic mid-stage and late stage. So I think it's flexible capital that we have. But I want to just say that the word family office is a bit abused in the country. And there are not too many real institutions here which are truly family offices where it's about governance, it's about strategy, it's about discipline, and it's about allocation. Usually most family offices just think about just how to make alpha without depth of thought process. So I think, there's all sorts of capital out there, but I think true long-term capital, when there's enough capital to deploy, I think strategically, some of that thought process is missing in the country. So you do get chunks who go into a bunch of funds and top quartile funds, like a Kedara, Gaja, Chris, whatever, the big boys, and then there's a bunch of mid-market and early stage funds. At least, our journey started in 2014. We did like 14 funds in the last, too many funds, but in the last 10, 11 years. And, unfortunately, the DPI, TVPI, it's not been great in the early stage ecosystem, right? And then we had our learnings and then we said that, guys, let's just do what we can underwrite. We can only underwrite consumer, so let's focus on consumer. And I think that's what we've done. And I think for us personally, that's what's been super exciting because, the journey, the next decade will be defined by the 400 million aspirational Indian consumer who will pay and with their wallet and that aspiration is what we are after. And hopefully if we chase the right entrepreneurs who are betting on the right categories and the right brands, I think those ones will be the winners of tomorrow.
Fair enough. Krishna?
He's being a little modest. His direct investing included a small company called Nykaa, which he put in 10 crores, which I think when he exited was more than 1,400 crores. So he makes the rest of us look like a little foolish. So it's not only permanent capital, it's smart permanent capital. And you should talk about family offices to Harsh uncle and give it, not your dad, Harsh Goenka. And, talk about how good family offices can be.
He has a very different view on family offices. But I think that's a different view altogether that he has, where he thinks that family offices just chill and play golf and go on vacations. I think that's that too. But I think that's different because those are just investors who just sit and watch. Here, I think when it's value adding is what you want to do, and you want to truly help entrepreneurs in their journeys, and not just be just be passive investors. So I think that's a different pool of capital. And I think that's also needed, by the way, in the country. But I mean, that's not who we are.
Krishna, you want to comment on at TVS, what's happening? And what are you doing, focused on which areas and, what kind of, Rishabh mentioned consumer, financial services are the two sort of bedrocks as far as India is concerned in terms of fighting ideas. It has been for the last 20, 25 years. Just give us an overview of what's been happening at TVS.
Yeah, we are now in our fourth fund. And interestingly, we've always been a rupee fund. We've raised money in India, invested in India. So taken a lot of pride in doing that. In the fourth fund, I think one of the things that we're seeing is also we are institutionalizing our fund. This was started by Gopal, and now you see more people coming in. So like you see in the market as well, families are institutionalizing in terms of family. Gopal Srivasan, yes. So you see families also putting an institutional setup in family offices, structures and formats in place. And you will see in the market in the next 20 years, significant money is going to move in across generations. You're going to see that quite a bit. There are reports about lakhs of crores going to move in. The second thing that you'll see in the market happening is the PF and NPS money and possibly insurance money, close to 107 lakh crores. A percentage of that will get unleashed into the market. With all that, I think the domestic pool is going to increase quite a bit. And therefore, I think we are quite excited about that. We have, in the first fund, been agnostic of the sector. We've been everywhere. And last fund, we were very sharp, largely in financial services. This fund, we are now into financial services, end-to-end distribution, wealth, insurance, and enterprise technology, and also industrials. And one of the reasons we're moving into industrials is a lot of our LPs from family offices have backgrounds in manufacturing. TVS family also has a lot of background in manufacturing. Plus, we see a lot of opportunities today. People think India has jumped from agriculture to services and the manufacturing is lost. But it seems to be coming back in some places with a big bang. In some cases, I think, slowly coming back. So I think that seems three areas of our focus. And we've invested a lot in people and capability capital. We're looking forward to that.
I missed manufacturing when I said financial services and consumer. I just want to ask Manish the AI question, right? I mean, you spoke about Vishal Mega Mart. I think it was your single largest sort of transaction, exit in terms of the amount of money that you made on that single deal. I mean, at one level, does it matter how you make money? Vishal Mega Mart is a fantastic company, well-run company. You went in early. You made a ton of money there. But at the same time, you look at what's happening around the world. And you and I were at an event yesterday where we got sort of presented that anecdote. The three companies, SK Hynix, TSMC, and Samsung, the amount of FI money in these three companies is about $1 trillion. FII stock of money in India is about $750 billion. So it's just, the numbers are insane. So my question is, does it really matter if it's a huge super cycle, maybe the biggest of our generation or two, and it seems to be, in a way, passing us by. I don't know. What's your sense?
Tough question. When you look at AI, you look at it from an investment lens, and you do it from a portfolio lens, right? The numbers globally are crazy. We, at least us, humbly speaking, I can't speak on anyone else or as a country, don't have the wherewithal or the skill set to play the game that the big boys are playing, whether the hyperscalers, whether it's the Amazons and the Googles of the world, whether it's an infra play or an LLM play. What we have learned in 15 years of existence, and with Temasek earlier, is humility. The markets and companies will make you humble. So don't ever go, if that's your guardrail, play within your guardrails, do stuff that you understand well. For us, it is consumer, it is financial services. It's tech services, not technology. We don't claim to know what the guys at Samsung can do. And yes, a bit of pharma and healthcare services, whether it's diagnostic labs. The moment you step outside your guardrail, you do that as a PA investment. You can't do it for the money that we are a fiduciary for the guys. They've given you money to do a certain investment thesis. Suddenly there's a more attractive rabbit running across the train tracks. If you're running after that rabbit, you're going to be hit by the train, right? More likely than not. So you've got to be really disciplined to stay within your guardrails. So to answer your question, AI, our portfolio companies, we encourage them. We have a full team working with them in either ways to enhance revenue or to decrease costs. We're doing both. I'd say we're still learning. We're probably learning more from some portfolio companies like a Purple, and we're transmitting that knowledge to the others and learning a bit more. On the investment side, let's be clear, I'm not investing in any LLMs. I have no strategic advantage, no market. But what we will do is, for example, we bought a controlling stake paying $250 million in a company which is US-based with an India backend, which does data migration. And so it's very boring, old world, but it prepares enterprises to become AI ready. So again, it's not the gold mine that you're running after, because it's very difficult for us to actually find that little thing of gold. But we're investing in the in the picks and the shovels, which can help others reach the gold mine. And we will then mean a 3 to 4x return. We're not used to Rishabh's 100 or 1,000x returns he did in Nykaa. We're happy with a 4, 5, 6x or a 3 or 4x. And hence the risk return, you've got to be measured and know what you know and play in that. And the stuff you don't know, just keep far away from.
Gopal, you want to come in?
Oh, well, it wasn't long ago that when you used to talk about IT technology, used to only talk about hardware, large computers, and software was considered worthless. You remember the origin story around Microsoft, how they gave away that system for free. And software companies became far more valuable than hardware companies. Every story starts with hardware. AI is a 5-layer cake, and India's turn to eat the cake, so as to say, or play a role in that cake, will come. And that role will be around applications. We have a huge role to play. Generic AI plus generic data gives you generic outcomes. In order for companies to truly leverage AI, you need proprietary data, you need the 3 C's, which is co-location, customization, and cost. And this is the role that Indian companies will play. So there's a very interesting ecosystem of companies emerging. Manish always makes the smartest investments. And there's a company in our portfolio, Fractal. I think it's a good example of how an Indian company is working with some of the world's largest companies.
We had them on the air today on earnings, but anyway,
wow. And the largest companies on these things, proprietary data. Even if you're taking a generic model, you need proprietary data, co-location, customization, cost to answer questions around pricing, around market strategy. So India's turn will come, and AI is here to stay, and we as investors have to look at it, as Manish said, from both angles. Companies that will play a role both in India and the global economy on how corporations, businesses use AI to become better businesses, and how we drive our businesses, not just in terms of improving their pitch decks, but in terms of improving their margins.
Manish, do you get pitched AI? Not AI, I don't mean AI like LLMs and stuff, but like companies from that area. Okay, let me expand that. Deep tech, and did you get pitched those kind of ideas for investments?
Explain your question, Prashant. Specific, what's your question? Do they get pitched to us?
Yeah. Do you get pitched?
No, we get 1,000 pitches a month. But we are very honest in saying what we don't understand. And we put it out of our humility, not because the company is not good. We just don't know we can add value. Our model, Prashant, is very different. We're not blind pool investors. Whether it's a minority or control investment, we will get active to try to add value. If we can't make a difference in the company and the promoter or the owner doesn't believe we can make a difference, then we're competing in an auction which we never win. We can only win if they believe that our operating partners, which are people like Nitin Paranjpe in the consumer space, Keki Mistry from HDFC in the financial services space, an ex-Abid who used to run Wipro. So we get these guys not as consultants or advisors. They are deeply involved in the company. And that's the only way we can make ourselves attractive and get something. The most important thing in buying is buying cheaper than when you have to, right? So in our sense, again, it goes back to what do you know, what do you not know? And if you can't convince the guys that you know, if you actually don't know something, you bloody well say you don't know something and be far away, right? So obviously you get pitched because there are, today you'll have a shoe company putting shoe.ai and expecting a higher valuation, right? So just stay away from that stuff. Stay away from the stuff you don't understand and you'll be fine.
Have we reached that stage yet? No, not yet. We have. Rishabh, just your thoughts. Where are you seeing the most exciting opportunities, kind of businesses which are getting pitched to you? What's looking good?
So for us, I mean, again, we're just blindsided and just one track mind of just consumer. If you can't invest in anything that you can't underwrite, you have to be able to underwrite it to invest in it. So very similar thought process, and just anything CPG, consumer forward is what we'll do. And I think it's super exciting right now. Frankly, like I think in the early stage, there's more capital chasing entrepreneurs than entrepreneurs chasing capital, which is scary. And we were just talking yesterday with the team, and it's every second entrepreneur is in the beauty personal care space. So, that's another scary part. And of course, beauty personal care is growing and it's fantastic. And we've been lucky recipients of that in terms of the right investments in this space. But I just think when there's so much noise, when there's greed, you should be fearful and vice versa, right? So, I just think that even old school boring businesses are actually really interesting. So, even for us as early stage investors, we'll do CDMOs, we'll do we'll do farsan, and we'll do snacks, stuff like that, which is still very early, and it's not become a Haldiram's or a Balaji, but there's still a lot of potential for just growth. And you have these businesses which are like that, which aren't sexy and cool, but just super. Even old school businesses where next gens come in and then they're rejuvenating that, and they're like, okay, fine, we're building something really interesting, because this is all early stage we're talking about, right? I think really interesting opportunities of 100 crore, turnover sort of, or 100 crore revenue businesses where, good healthy margins, good gross margin profiles, and just really building up in either, it could be everything from anything to do with CPG actually.
I just want to have one question. Manufacturing, only Krishna brought that up. Gopal, you want to just sort of come in there? Yeah.
Well, reindustrialization is an important theme in India. It's going to take some time before the whole manufacturing ecosystem deepens. Currently it's still less than 15% of the GDP. But I think whatever we've seen in the last 10 years, so far India has been a mid-tech manufacturing economy, right? Auto components, electronics, stuff like that. We are not viable low-tech, we are not viable high-tech manufacturing. But reindustrialization is a theme across India, across US. And I think as that happens, manufacturing will deepen. That was your question. And I think for many of us, for us, we are approaching it from the tech end. So we are interested in automation. We are interested in how software improves manufacturing. But there are many opportunities emerging in manufacturing. We talked about AI. I think defense and energy are two very important global themes, and extremely important global themes for India as well. And I think the funnel of opportunity in this sector is expanding.
I had a lot of questions, but I think we're out of time completely. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. The music in markets, public markets may be a little slow, but I think encouraging thoughts from all of you. Thank you very much, Rishabh, Manish, Gopal, and Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, panelists, for those thoughtful insights, and thank you, Prashant. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a huge round of applause. Well, moving on, today consumers no longer just are buying products or services, they are buying experiences. Now, whether it is hospitality, dining, travel, entertainment, or lifestyle, experience has become one of the strongest drivers of consumer choice and brand loyalty. But building an experience-led business is far more complex than it appears. Unlike products, experiences are created in real time through people, spaces, services, technology, and emotion. They have to be consistent, scalable, and memorable while still feeling personal and authentic. And as India's consumer economy evolves, businesses are increasingly asking an important question. How do you scale experience without losing the very quality that makes it valuable? That is exactly what this next conversation will explore. And to lead this discussion, please welcome Mangalam Malu from CNBC-TV18, and joining him on stage, please welcome Puneet Chhatwal, Managing Director and CEO, IHCL, Anurag Bhatnagar, Whole-Time Director and CEO, the Leela Palaces, Hotels and Resorts, and Rahul Ganju, the CEO of District by Zomato. Well, Mangalam, over to you.
I thought the Titans should first take their seats and then start. You know, I don't know how to start this without being a fanboy of all the products that you have to offer, be it, you know, some of the Ginger hotels, because Taj I can't afford. Leela's you see from outside, take pictures of. District is where you open the app and, you know, you look at the tickets which are all sold out. So I'm a disgruntled customer, aspirational customer, and maybe an analyst of the space as well. We can't start this without addressing the elephant in the room. The conversation that came from the Prime Minister, asking people to exercise restraint when it comes to consumption, travel, extravagance, all these things to save on Forex. Where do you all stand on that? Do you all benefit from it because domestic tourism gets a boost? Or do you all not benefit from it because people are now in saving mode? Let's start with you, Puneet.
With me, firstly, I have to say, God helps those who help themselves, so please help yourself. If you can't afford a ginger, I'm sure you cannot afford garlic either. So,
no, I can afford a ginger, not the Taj.
Okay, so now on the, I don't know the names you use, I cannot use that name, but given the latest, what you're referring to, I don't know, it could be very good for the experience economy. It could be very good under the aspect of Dekho Apna Desh. It could also turn out to be very good to add Make in India, Heal in India to Wed in India. Not only for Indians, but also for foreigners coming into India. So I think it could be positive. On the other hand, I think we are all a bit speechless thinking, is there more to it? Is there something that we need to know? Should we be more careful? Should we be, you know, cautious or thinking about what else to expect, what is coming our way? So I think at the moment, at least I am trying to digest the news and see how things pan out day after day. We are also living in a geopolitical world where a statement made in the morning may not hold true, forget afternoon or even, no. Even late morning the statement is false. So I think we need to get through that over the next week or a few weeks, and by the end of the month or early next month, we'll know more.
Right. Anurag, what do you think about this?
I just add on to what Puneet said. I agree with him. It's a bit early stage for us to know what's going to be the full impact of Honorable Prime Minister's statement yesterday. But typically, if you see India's context, the months of May, June, and July are holiday seasons, school vacations, a very strong domestic uptake any which ways. So that is going to get further amplified, what we believe. And if you take a step back and look at India's overall outbound, the number of affluent Indians who take international trips is nearly 3x of the inbound. The inbound to India, the international tourists that come to India, is pretty submissive compared to anywhere else in the world. So in that sense, in the long run, it will provide a deeper opportunity for us, but it's early stages to see how specifically it will pan out in the next few months.
You know, before we go to Rahul, I have to ask you this, because you said it's a little early to digest the impact of this news. I can tell you from the stock market standpoint, 12 lakh crore of market cap erased. And the wealth effect obviously has an impact on how luxury products sold by you guys are consumed. Do you think that could be a bigger worry than what the Prime Minister has said? Because the underperformance of the stock market, the underperformance of portfolios, could that have an impact on consumption of your products?
You know, if we take a pessimistic view, we have a lot to worry about. If we take a realistic view of what we know and what we think we know, then there is nothing to worry about. So I think what we don't know. That's what I said. So at the moment, things are fine. May, Anurag and I were chatting outside. May is off to a very good start. Of course, the first 15 days of April were not as good. June, the business on books looks good. I hope it stays that way, but also it's a bit unfair comparison because I mentioned it on your channel this morning. You know, we had Pahalgam in April and we had Operation Sindoor in May and we had the airline accident in June. So a lot went wrong in the first 3 months of the same quarter last year. So at the moment, the way we see things is fine. And more importantly, I think we tend to underestimate the safety and security. I think the safety, security of people, our customers, etc. today is very good, and including in places like Middle East where we have an operation, we can say we've not even had a very small incident that could have impacted us. So I think that's the way we are thinking at the moment. The business goes up and down, and it will come back with a big bang.
All right, business goes up and down, come back with a big bang. You know, what connects the three of you all is, it's a very interesting thread where, say, for instance, District is something that started from an organization that always believed in giving comfort to people in their houses, right? And now you are suddenly asking people to get out and the opportunity that there is. So I'd like your thoughts on, you know, what were those initial pitch meetings like which said, oh, there is a TAM, or total addressable market in this experience economy. What were those qualitative and quantitative parameters that you all discussed before actually jumping headlong?
First of all, thanks for having me, and starting with a softball about the PM speech. But yeah, I think, see, the way we look at it at Eternal is that we build for convenience. So the common threads across all our businesses is what can we do to make urban lives smoother, friction-free? And this seemed like a large segment out there which nobody's addressed the way we are thinking about it. And so we are just about, removing that friction and helping more people consume outside of their homes. And we know directionally it's a larger TAM than at-home consumption. So.
Right. And the reason I call it a common thread is because all of them actually had to get out of their skins to do something and succeed at that. And that's exactly what Titans stand for as well. Anurag, you know, when the Leela was taken over by a private equity firm, obviously the brand that stood, there was a fair amount of headroom for growth out there. But there were other brands that were offering similar services and experiences as well. What do you think made Leela the attractive bet that you all made on? And what differentiates your quality of service from, say, some of your peers?
Thank you, Mangam. That's a great question. So Leela has been in existence as a brand for the last 4 decades.
40 years.
40 years, that's right. We celebrate 40 years of Leela this year. When legendary Captain Nair founded this brand, the moat was very clear, the finest asset quality, the finest level of service. And this is something that we have singularly preserved all throughout this journey and continue to do so. What really enabled us, post the acquisition of Brookfield in 2019, was the scale, the access to capital, a disciplined asset management approach, and our ability to put all things together to grow mindfully and deliberately whilst keeping the singular focus on luxury. So we have further fine-tuned our services, our programming, our experiences, which is evident from the results that we are doing quarter on quarter. And we believe, because in this particular space, there is a lot of runway ahead, and there are tailwinds at a macroeconomic indicators to support this focus on luxury from experiences, because that's where the new consumer is moving, and that's what they want to experience.
Right, and that brings me to Puneet now, because again, something that is not of extreme comfort to a group that was earlier known as the Taj Group and now known as the IHCL Group, largely because you wanted to diversify your revenue coming out from Taj, get into products which are not more luxurious than Taj, but more affordable, accessible to people like me, say something like a Ginger and all these things as well. So what was the call that you took out there when he's saying that there is a lot of headroom for growth in luxury? You're also seeking something at below the luxury pyramid as against above.
Wow. Is this working? Yeah.
Yes.
So I think, firstly, we have to take a step back. The evolution of the nation was reflected in a group getting called Taj Group, which was never the name. The name given by the founder was Indian Hotels Company, and that is going to have its 125th AGM this year in June. So it's not a name founded.
We have 40, 125, and 2024. Yeah, so 1.5 years.
So now that's the starting point. The philosophy behind calling it the Indian Hotels Company was to give an answer to the society where it was written on the hotel's doors, dogs and Indians not allowed. So
Yes.
it was, for that time, a hotel for the Indians. Now, since then, 1903 when Taj opened, fast forward 2026, India is 1.5 billion people. And even if 50% of that population is your TAM, total addressable market, and that includes people like Mangalam, we need a product for each of the Indians.
Thank you so much.
And that's what we did in trying to leverage the strength of the Taj, all that the Taj had created, almost over 100+ years of legacy, and then obviously make it evolve into upper upscale, mid-scale, homestays, home delivery, and you name it, in catering units. And we became a very well-diversified portfolio, which is today very distinct by brand, by geography, and by contract type.
Got that. So diversification has been your journey. Deeper penetration into the luxury market has been yours. And obviously seeking further formalization as the experience economy grows.
Sorry to interrupt you, but at the same time, Taj has grown into the top 3 luxury brands in the world in terms of scale. It's getting close to 150 hotels portfolio and still rated in the last 5 years as the world's strongest hotel brand and India's strongest brand across sectors. So that doesn't mean one thing does not exclude the other. So that just because we are doing more things does not mean we are not focusing on the Taj. That was, is, and remains the backbone. More importantly, the core values of Taj, what Taj stands for, I don't know anybody knows in the audience or not. The T of the Taj stands for the trust of all our stakeholders, A for the awareness of the communities we live and act in, and J for the joy that I'm having right now in doing whatever we do.
Do you have a full form for Leela?
We have a caption though, true Indian luxury, but not a full form for Leela to that level. But I think adding on to what Puneet just said, I think if you look at brands from India, whether it's the Taj or us or anybody in the luxury space, they've always been considered as one of the finest amongst the top brands in the world globally. If you look at the voice of the customer and the customer love in terms of extremely well-accredited and well-known publications and Reader's Choice Awards and the gold list everywhere, you will always find a brand from India appearing in the top 3 or top 5, if not in the top first 2 positions.
Wonderful. Rahul, I have to ask you, the emerging economy around experiences, which is concerts, people traveling for meals, people actually going out of their comfort zones and perhaps spending a little more than what their pockets would allow for experiences more than things. Have you all put a number to how big this market could be, the rate at which it is growing, and the opportunities where the next $1 billion of revenue come?
So yeah, I think, almost every prediction that we make about numbers, every report gets it wrong. So we don't want to hazard a...
Gets it wrong on the downside.
Gets it wrong in terms of how big the market and how quickly it'll get there. So without hazarding a guess on what that number is, that we know that there are behavioral shifts driving this consumption, right? So today it's not, I think the value system and the trade-off that the next generation is making about how they want to spend their time is different from ours. And we see it play out, every day in the data that we see. So moving from products to experiences, living in the moment, not really bothered about how life will be 5 years, 10 years from now. But, if you have money to spend, go get that experience. That's why we see a lot of outbound tourism just for concerts today. There is, for large concerts, almost 40% of the crowd that we get is out of the city. So there's a lot of data that suggests that, this behavior shift is kind of happening and it's real. And we are kind of here to participate for that.
You guys are targeting, I'm looking at some numbers, 10,000 crore GOV by the end of FY26 was your last stated number, with 4 to 5% EBITDA, which obviously you're investing back in this business. Live event spends just on tickets was close to 21,000 crore in the previous financial year. And people spend 2.5 times more on travel to that concert and F&B around it. So if you double that, it's roughly 50,000 crores. What are the challenges? I have to ask you this, because for every great live concert that happens, there are a bunch of disgruntled people who say that we never got tickets because maybe the organizers gate-kept those, or we didn't get a good experience because the road to the concert wasn't as good and all these factors. So what are the challenges while the opportunities are here for us on the numbers?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there are a lot of people are curious about the industry now, and they are looking at the great outcomes. You know, there are concerts that are full, they're selling out. Even cricket stadiums are full and so on. But I think for us to be consistently delivering that kind of experience, the limiting factor becomes the physical infrastructure today. That's why we are kind of investing heavily on venues, because that's where the experience comes together. On the technology side, I think India is as good as the world, like our apps experience, how you manage, like there are events where there are like 2 lakh people in the queue and there are 5,000 tickets to sell. So you'll always have a large population who didn't get the tickets feel disgruntled. So that's a problem that you can't solve. But I think in your product flows, can you be transparent? Can you tell them like, okay, this is your number, this is the likelihood of you not getting a ticket, and so on and so forth. So I think there's a lot we have done to kind of safeguard that experience. So on the tech side, on the production quality side, India is at par with anywhere in the world. Where it gets challenging today is around the physical. And we don't have a lot of purpose-built arenas where you can, put up a show in a day. So for the P&Ls also to be viable, that has to happen, because we spend a lot of money and time just building infrastructure for 3 days and then destroying it the next day. So that's where the kind of bottleneck is today.
And that's exactly where I believe that perhaps could be a challenge for someone in your industry as well. Because as the average room rates go up, as the overall cost of a holiday in India goes up, immediately you're not comparing it with other Indian destinations, but you're comparing the overall cost of the holiday to nearby destinations from India as well, where the experience for the same amount of money is a lot better, largely because of the infrastructure. So a lot of the experience is outside of the controllable of the hospitality industry. Could that be a challenge?
I agree with you. I think as far as the hospitality space is concerned, like I said earlier, we are right at the top in terms of the warm, gracious, Indian style of luxury service that we provide, almost intuitive service that we provide generally in the sector. But outside, you see, your luxury journey is not just about the hotel. It's like about frictionless travel.
Exactly.
So that's something that needs to be worked upon. Things are improving now on the infrastructure side, but if you look at the whole experience bubble from the time the guest arrives at the airport to the time when he takes off back to his country, the destination management, the key tourism spots, all that can be managed better. So there is a lot of work to be done on that side.
No, I think Anurag is right. I don't want to repeat what he said, but one thing is there with the train systems improving and the highways improving. I think a lot is changing. I can only say a few sectors like Delhi, Jaipur, or Jaipur, Savai Madhepur, going to Ranthambore is a highway par excellence. I mean, it's nothing better than that. I did once Lucknow to Agra 6-8 months ago. I think that was also phenomenal. So I think a lot is changing and a lot is in evolution. And things take time. We are a very large country and very diversified. So nothing will happen overnight. But what has happened in the last 10 years is commendable and just gives us a lot more optimism to build hotels in these new destinations because they are more accessible and easily reachable.
Wonderful. Just as we have 2 minutes to wrap, I'll go forward with some of the, ribbing each other sort of questions here. When you go to, say, Leela, what is the first thing that you notice?
Wow. Shall we do it in a lighter way? Anurag, is it okay with you? Go ahead. When I first enter, let's say, a Leela in Chanakyapuri in Delhi, I see a combination of Taj Palace and Taj Mansingh.
Why would you say that?
The architecture is such, the arrival experience is such, but
it's twice as good.
And because they came 80 years later, so many things are improved upon, like our highways. But then comes the next challenge. I see a lot of people walk up to me, like here in Geo, and it seems all of them have been trained by Taj. Then Fortunately, I've not had to go through the menu, but some of my friends said that when they went to the menu, especially the Japanese or other Asian, Pan-Asian cuisine, it looks very much like Taj, but doesn't taste like that.
He's not holding anything back.
Thanks, Puneet. Hi, thanks, Puneet, for the lovely endorsement. So we've been able to attract some good talent as well.
When you go to one of the Taj hotels, what is it that you see?
Well, I have to be very careful because my wife spent a very significant part of her life in Taj under Puneet's
So next time you go to Leela, you'll also see...
No, but I think what really strikes me about Taj is the warmth that comes across, the level of service that every associate is able to take, a decision that every associate in anywhere, and I've stayed in many Taj hotels as a guest. So that really strikes out.
I'll just add one sentence to it, but whenever I go to his house, I find the Taj because the wife is there.
And if both the Leela and Taj were to list on District, what differentiated user experience would you provide the guys who are looking for that sort of luxury?
Oh, wow.
I'm making a business deal for you here.
No, I think, all the feedback that we get from consumers today is that we are trying to disrupt in category where not a lot of product innovation has happened over the last 20 years. So I think that's a great kind of endorsement for how we've kind of tackled this category. And if these giants of consumer brands in India, they have to list on District, I think the
credit would go to CNBC-TV18 for this.
Yes, and I think it'll be happening.
And a commission.
And we already did, right? For Rolling Loud last year, we as I was saying, 40% of people were out of town from Bombay, and we sold hotel packages, and I think they sold out along with the tickets. So I think there's a lot of synergy there, so I'm also doing a sell here. So.
All right, we'll allow you all to explore the synergies back in the WeWork lounge out there, but this is all about the experience economy, emerging headroom for growth and challenges, and a lot of leg pulling between the legends as well.
Thank you, panelists, for such a candid and engaging conversation. Thank you very much, Mangalam. Moving on, India's GCC story has evolved far beyond scale and cost efficiency. Today, global companies are building capabilities in India across innovation, AI, cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, and strategic decision-making. India is no longer just supporting global enterprises, it is helping shape them. And as businesses become more technology-led, the real competitive advantage lies in how organizations learn, adapt, and turn knowledge into value at scale. So what does it take to build enterprises that can innovate faster, make smarter decisions, and create global impact from India? That is the focus of our final discussion this evening. To lead the conversation, please welcome Reema Tendulkar from CNBC-TV18, and joining her on stage, please give a huge round of applause for Anand Bhushan Sen Gobain, GCC leader. And we also have Arindam Sen, partner and GCC sector leader, TMT EY India. Over to you, Reema.
Hello, everyone. So not too long ago, the story of GCCs was simple. How many people, how many seats moved to India to save costs? And then GCCs evolved. They became the Titans. They became a story of how they're no longer the labor arbitrage play, but they are the innovation and knowledge centers for their parent company. And the numbers are here to say. There are 2,100 GCCs in India, revenues touching $100 billion, and they employ 2.36 million. This is as per the latest NASSCOM story. But once again, GCCs are at a crossroads. They are potentially, along with the Indian IT industry, facing the possible encroachment of AI into the turf, the bastion that you all held so far. So we've got a lot to discuss in the next 20 minutes, how AI is changing the game, the risks, the opportunities. How can GCCs use AI to make themselves more powerful than ever before? And is there a risk of job losses? So very warm welcome to Anand and Arindam, and I look forward to this conversation. But Anand, let me begin with you, right? On AI and the latest in AI. And the latest is that both OpenAI and Anthropic have launched an enterprise services company. Basically, and it's formidable because they have consulting companies, they have PE companies. So OpenAI, for instance, is tied up with a TPG. They have Bain. So they get access to clients. They have consultants like McKinsey as partner investors, so they can get the contextual knowledge. You put in a few forward deploy engineers, agentic AI, and then perhaps they can do what a GCC does. So the question is, what is the defensible moat of GCCs today?
So we all had discussed that AI is going to stay, and I'll give you one example. When refrigeration was invented, the biggest earning was done by Pepsi and Cola. So AI will transform us, all of us in IT industry, but more than that, it will transform our business. Here, all service companies, so if I'll put this like in such a way that AI for IT services and AI for business, these two are two different aspects, and those two aspects where GCC's plays are, because we are not only doing IT, we are also touching the business at this point in time. So when we see 20 years back and today, the difference is that 20 years back, IT was a back office of any function. Anything and everything in the business is run by IT. So it's not only about the IT and technology, it's also about business process. I see there is a loss of productivity gain that is going to happen. And when I was growing up in industry, it was faster, better, cheaper, and you can get only two. With this AI, you can get faster, better, and economical, all three. And that's a possibility that AI is going to bring. And all this Anthropic and OpenAI, it's going to aid that. So this is how I see this is going to happen.
Anindam, we speak to so many Indian IT companies, and quarter after quarter for the last many, we've been asking them the risk of AI. And they keep saying, well, we are needed because we understand the messy legacy infrastructure data. We have the contextual knowledge, and that is our moat. But do you think with what we're seeing today with Anthropic and OpenAI, the fact that they're getting consultants like McKinsey on board, right? Consultants are used to parachuting into enterprises, and over the next 6 months, they understand the business inside out. And now you've got agentic AI, which can so the McKinsey strategize, and agentic AI will execute on the work. So that contextual knowledge, which was seen as a moat for GCCs, and which Anand is talking about, is that defensible?
See, I think there are two parts to that answer. The first part is, if you look at the report that you referred to, which was just released from NASSCOM on the 2100 centers, there's one very important element that was included in the report, which was the maturity of the GCC ecosystem. And if you look at it carefully, what it mentioned was that less than 50% of the GCC ecosystem currently would be classified as high maturity. So I think when we look at the impact of AI on GCCs itself, there are a couple of things you need to consider. One of them being the maturity of the enterprise as well as the GCC that is in question here. And secondly, what is it that the GCC does, right? Because there are GCCs today that are doing a variety of different things than just traditional commoditized stack of activities. And I think that needs to be taken into context when we discuss this question. Now, to your point on contextual knowledge and the defense mechanism around contextual knowledge, it really depends on, and again, and I also want to caveat one thing is that we can't look at GCCs in isolation of the enterprise. Now, if Sant Goba decides tomorrow that it is going to use agentic as the effective tool to bring efficiency and drive, I don't know, $1 billion of its bottom line, then by its consequence, the GCC will be impacted in some shape or form. We can discuss that in the later questions. But however, it is highly dependent on enterprise maturity, where they are in the context of AI, how fast are they adopting AI. There are certain sectors that are still behind. It is still not proven yet completely in terms of ethics, cybersecurity. There are a lot of factors that are still not there fully baked for widespread enterprise adoption. And I'm not discounting the fact that it has tremendous potential. The way we are looking at it is I think the GCC world is looking at this as a tremendous opportunity than something that they need to protect themselves against. I think there's a lot of embracing happening today because they believe, and the GCC world believes, that this is going to make their life a lot easier than it was maybe 2-3 years back.
So let's talk about how GCCs are using AI today. What process has Saint-Gobain made redundant on account of AI? Is there a measurable revenue impact that you can highlight on account of AI and the productivity, not just on the cost side?
So I will speak about it in total. First, in Saint-Gobain, we have built organizational memory. We are a 360 years old company where our process and entire business is built in people and process. So building this organizational memory, which we have created, that connects to context, experience of production data, maintenance record, to everything, so that we can empower our people across the globe to solve the problem. Because this is where innovation starts. And this is what we have done already. So A. B, how can we help our business to have a digital innovation faster and create, and this is with the help of IT for IT, how can we create a go-to-market faster? And these two impact that has been done. It is picking up the pace, and that pace is going to increase further. And that's where I see more opportunity ahead.
And the productivity benefit that you'll have seen?
I see productive benefit at this point in time 10 to 15%, because it is underplayed right now, to be very honest. I see it is going to be 30 to 40% in the future. So doing more in less is going to be the theme for future.
Arindam, I presume all the GCCs, and you look at the TMT clients, and these are all AI native companies, they must be asked to demonstrate hard outcomes on account of AI? Are those KPIs now being built into?
Well, I think it depends on and incidentally, I mean, though I sit within TMT, we look at all GCCs regardless of sector, and what we see is a little bit of a sectoral flavor in terms of how they are managing those KPIs and how they want to look at it. But there are, today, if you look at, there is a significant change, for example, on pricing models and buying, right? That's creeping in for sure, because what is getting compressed due to AI are things like implementation timelines, the ability to transform things a lot faster. So hence, there is definitely an impact on procurement and those functions in the first place. Now, if you look at, for example, the retail industry, there's a heavy adoption of AI, or at least mandate, on the supply chain, the demand forecasting, the demand planning areas. If you look at the life sciences business, there is the adoption of AI on clinical trials and how they want to look at drug development in the future. So different GCCs in different sectors have very different mandates. Now the question is, how hard are those mandates, to your earlier point? Again, there are varying degrees. There are some which have basically said, I need 25% productivity tomorrow. So either work with your partners or do it yourself. Then there are some that have said, okay, we're not going to go by efficiency, we're going to go by a faster time to market, right? So it's differing right now. There is no standardized model currently. It's very varied sector by sector.
So do you want to tell us, for each of the sector, according to you broadly, what is the risk of compression of business of GCCs?
So when you say risk of compression of GCCs, what do you mean?
So for instance, if they were doing, 10 engineers were there, now you can do it with one, right? There is a lot of implementation work, the regular run the business kind of work. Maybe that could be agentified. So what percentage of that business is at risk?
Again, it's easier than it seems. One of the things, and like him, I came from a company that was over 150 years old. And let me tell you, a few years back, you would have all heard about cloud being the next big thing, right? There are still companies that are still migrating to the cloud today, maybe 10, 15 years after it's adopted enterprise-wide. The problem that, and it's not just a question of GCCs, but enterprises in general, if you look at the activities that they perform, you can clearly divide them into two parts. There's the run part of run your business, and then there's the part of new projects, new transformation, etc. When it comes to run, most enterprises are very wary of tinkering with it if it's already running well. Now, you can see pockets of AI infusion happening there. Where I think the transformation is going to happen much more rapid is anything new that they're doing, right? And that's where the clear focus is today, that whatever is running, let it run. And if a GCC, by the way, is doing 80% of run activities, then you will see virtually no change in their operating model. But if it's much more on the 80% of the transformation, there is obviously going to be a significant infusion.
So if tomorrow an OpenAI or Anthropic walks into your Paris headquarters and they make a pitch that they're going to do it all, what is it that your GCC offers that they can't?
So if you're speaking about Saint-Gobain, we call it a 360 years old company, fragmented value chain first. The only impact at this point in time, like is said, how can we do efficient run? Anything that is repetitive, manual, definitely will be completely displaced. And the new opportunity will get created. It's not about the service company because why at first place GCC got created, that principle is forgotten right now in the name of AI, because company wanted to have knowledge with them. The knowledge is in the business. Technology is changing every 2 years.
You don't want to share your IPs with the tech company.
Yes, precisely. So business knowledge, at this point in time, if you see the company that lasted for 360 years and will last another 500 years, maybe, this is something that innovation will be driven with the help of AI, and we'll don't need anyone from outside, because we may create construction chemical, glass, ceiling, everything together. It's very difficult for any consulting and company like McKinsey to understand how our business does.
And you would use the services of an external consultant, and there would be Chinese walls which help protect your secrets.
Of course. So there would definitely be knowledge sharing. I see at this point in time, because in India, as Saint-Gobain, we are growing more than 20%. Globally, if you see a good footprint and the kind of middle class, renovation industry, everything is going to come and is coming. I see if we adopt, learn, and be AI-centric, we'll grow fast. And we'll do more in less. Because that part is definitely going to be there, and this is what we strive for. Displacement is going to happen, but opportunity will get created for those displaced. This is how I see personally.
So this 2.36 million professionals that GCCs employ today, do you think that headcount goes up, goes down in the next 5 years? Because tomorrow, a board can ask, if Meta can do with 10% less, then why can't you?
Yeah, so I mean, if you ask me my opinion, I think you're going to see it go up first and then subsequently start to go down. The going up is factored in primarily because if you look at the shift in terms of what kind of skills are going to be hired in the next 2 to 3 years, as this becomes more mainstream, significant domain expertise, you need AI experts, you need data engineers, you need people who understand how to run these systems efficiently. So I think that's being incorporated into GCCs. You've got centers of excellence being set up. Once they get in and they start to look at processes and end-to-end views of everything that's running within the company, you can start to see some of what I would call more transactional activities being automated.
So what's the timeline that we're looking at? Because I think the one big worry everyone has is job losses.
Yeah. I would say that you will see play out in the next couple of years.
Do you want to come in?
Yeah, I would like to add here, because in next 5 years, because at least I will speak from manufacturing and construction industry, because of the product and what we make. I see the opportunity for all of us is a product innovation, okay? What we do from here also in India, from a perspective you see AI and new technology, the biggest problem within Europe and within America is talent even today. The technology which was used 30 years back, I can't drive personally. I need, for example, the talents who get trained from the beginning. And I will be very, very honest and bold to say that. And India is a place where you will get talent. And I see this is where I agree with Arindam that it will increase and then will get optimized. Industry will grow. When I started my career, it was first I2K, then e-bubble. Every time it was threatened. But every time it came out very differently and victoriously. I see big opportunity forward, being a technologist.
And what does the industry need to do? Because this technology is changing so rapidly. Every time there was a technology shift, there was an evolution, there was a transformation, and it lasted for 5 years, 7 years. For example, cloud deployment, just because you spoke about it, was first talked about in 2011, 2012. It only gained scale in 2018, 2019, 2020, and then COVID accelerated it. So there was time for companies to lean in. But this time, what you just get that feeling is that AI is changing the game far more rapidly, and companies don't have that longer window to reposition themselves and transform.
So at this point in time, I agree with Arindam when he was speaking about we are yet to get the right playing field for AI, because cloud is still happening. Because I have not seen more than, because that is where the area that is going to grow. So in 5 years, the most of the workforce is not only about IT. Even the people who are going to use within the business, the frontline forces, those people should also be adapted to IT and learn and adopt. So I see from that perspective, we should not look at only from IT and technology perspective. We should combine with the business. And this is where I see in a couple of years that will transform all of us the way we do our business. And this.
Arindam, you want to share with us the E&Y projections for GCCs? Today, 2,100. Say by 2030 or 10 years down the line, what is the number? In terms of professionals, we stand at 2.36 million. In terms of revenues, we're close to 100 billion, 98.5 billion. What would those numbers look like according to the E&Y projections based on what we're seeing with AI?
Sorry, I was not prepared to make the projection right now, but look, if you look at our past report, I think we released it maybe 2-3 years back. We had said that by 2030, we had expected that number of centers to be about 2,500. I think, I wouldn't say we were way off, but it has accelerated much more rapidly than we thought it would. And that's primarily driven by the mid-market companies that are setting up, which has taken the lion's share in the last maybe 18-20 months. This was not factored into our analysis at that time. We didn't see that coming. So now with that factored in, I think that 2,500 projection that we made by 2030 will probably be reached a little earlier than we thought. But we still stick to that number. I mean, we are in the process of looking at this now more holistically. So I can't make an accurate projection yet. But that number of 2,500 still holds good. Now the question is 29 or 2030 to be seen.
And you said 50% of the GCCs today approximately are not mature.
Yeah.
Is there a risk of these shutting down?
No. I don't think they have a risk of shutting down. I think what you're going to see is maybe with the advent of everything that's happening, that maturity curve is going to come a lot faster than we thought it would.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be, we are going to mature fast. If you see about St. Gobain, at this point in time, majority of not only in IT space, but research, scientific research, everything is happening in India. Engineering, Industry 4.0, everything is happening in India for the group. We have 1,200 plants across the world, and we are managing those from India. So it's not about that it is going to, and I believe very strongly in it, that going to shut down or minimize.
No doomsday.
Yes, it will do more in less. If we are growing today, we are a $47 billion company. We aspire to be the bigger $100 billion. I'm not the person who should be speaking about it. In 10 years, we'll be bigger. And if we are bigger, we'll do more in less. So productivity will definitely increase. The ownership and accountability is very important when we are going to use AI. And this is where every organization should invest in, not only in data, not in the context, but not in governance, because trust is only when built, but in the accountability and judgment making. Because the person should be accountable because we are going to use AI. How the accountability will be brought in, that should be discussed, that should be debated, and that should be brought in by every organization.
Gentlemen, it's been a great conversation. And if we speak 5 years down the line, the GCCs would still be called the Titans of India Inc. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you, Reema. Now, India's office market is going through a major transformation at a time when several global markets continue to debate the future of workplaces. India is witnessing record office leasing activity and a sharp rise in demand for flexible workspaces. Flex spaces today are no longer seen as an alternative to traditional offices. They are becoming a core part of how businesses think about growth, talent, collaboration, and scalability. At the same time, hybrid work models, evolving employee expectations, and the growing influence of technology and AI are reshaping the very purpose of commercial real estate. So while the numbers point to strong momentum, the larger question is, what will be the workplace of the future really looking like? And how are developers, workspace operators, and businesses adapting to this shift? That is exactly what this next conversation will explore. And to lead the discussion, please welcome Sonal Bhutra from CNBC-TV18. And joining her on stage, please give a huge round of applause to Karan Veervani, the Managing Director and CEO WeWork India. We also have Gulam Zia, International Partner and Senior Executive Director, Knight Frank India, and Niranjan Hiranandani, the Co-Founder and Managing Director, Hiranandani Group. Sonal, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. And gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. And I really didn't think we'll be speaking at a time when the words work from home will be here in the market again. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But if it does, I'm just going to start with you, Karan, because we've been talking about flex spaces growing rapidly. It's actually, the stock is growing 2 times the commercial space stock as well, the office stock that is. It's all that the market can talk about. And WeWork is grossing revenues, which is highest in the industry as well. What has been the initial reaction? It's just an appeal. We are not going to do that, or, it's not an order that has come by yet. Yeah. But what's been the initial conversation, if you've had any with your clients?
So, firstly, thank you. And it is, you are right today, flexible workspaces, roughly about 100 million square foot of the close to about 1 billion square foot of commercial real estate that's there. So we've grown to become 10% of the market, but nearly 20% of all new leasing, is happening within the flex space. I think last quarter, it was the first time we crossed IT and technology as a sector of actually leasing up space, which has predominantly led, commercial real estate for the last decade or so, or more than 2 decades almost. Now, in terms of, I think the comment made on work from home and things like that, we've seen this sort of happen and evolve from COVID. It really started in COVID, where people started adopting a hybrid model, whether it was work from home or work from office or sort of in between. That's actually what led to the acceleration within our sector and within our space itself. So flexible workspaces grew because people started getting comfortable with the fact that I don't always have to come or travel 2 hours and, come to a headquarters. Companies started to decide that they don't need central HQs all of the time within the city. We might have dispersed offices, or even give our employees different formats of working, or more flexible formats of working, where they can access infrastructure on demand, or access offices close to their home, or, when they actually need it. And I think, the appeal sort of is actually going to accelerate more demand for our business over, traditional in some sense, because people, if they want to just access, again, an office closer to their home, can do that through a model like ours. What became clear during COVID, through this period, and also now, is that people actually don't want to work from home. They're unproductive working from home, and operators, CEOs, etc., don't want their employees to work from home for an extended period of time, because you can't really get the most out of employees. And when you're building a business, you need to come together, you need to have culture, you need to collaborate, you need to do all of that, and you need a space to always do it. So yeah, I hope it doesn't stay for long, but if it does, it will hopefully benefit us like it did during COVID.
Okay, so now it's not a worry for you. Mr. Hiranandani, we've had a conversation on residential real estate, and every time there's something interesting that I learned from you. COVID, because of work from home, did see a massive growth in residential real estate. Of course, it's a different time now. We are talking about supply constraints. We are talking about how construction costs have risen. And maybe there was a slight blip in real estate demand as well. What does all of it mean for the residential real estate sector as we speak? Is this something that could lead to higher home buying?
I think in the last 3 years post-COVID, we've seen a growth of 10 to 15% growth of the overall real estate market. For the top tier companies, we have seen a 15 to 17% growth compounded every year. This is going to grow because of two reasons. One is consolidation is taking place in the real estate field. Overall, you are seeing that happen. So if you had 18,000 developers in the Mumbai metropolitan region registered, we are now 12,000. I know 12,000 is a big number, but let me tell you that the very fact is consolidation has taken place. The second part of it is we are seeing a skewed demand increase. And what is that? The middle and the luxury and the higher end is growing exponentially at 15 to 17%. Affordable housing has fallen by 20% in the last 20 months. So there's a different type of market which has taken place in the residential real estate. This year, we anticipate, and most of the other people concur, that it will be between 12 to 14% after 3 years of growth. So we don't see real estate in terms of it. As far as the headwinds are concerned, it is our belief that all these headwinds will be in favor of residential real estate.
How is that?
Because if you have to stay at home, you want more space in your house.
No, of course, but there are supply constraints when people get their house.
Let me complete.
Yes, of course.
When you were staying at home, the husband was working from home, the wife was working from home, the children were studying from school at home. Otherwise, normally what used to happen, husband go to work, wife go to work, children go to school, weekends they go out. So the house was not so important. Now it's very important that you have a house which is reasonable size enough for be able to do it, if you can afford it, or if the banking system will be able to lend you money for that, which has happened. And remember, lending to residential real estate for the topmost banks, the 5 banks have grown more than 15% compounded per annum for the last 5 years, post-COVID, sorry. So if you see overall, it's our belief that whatever happens, the residential real estate will grow if India grows. If India doesn't grow, of course, it's there. And we are still growing at 6.4%, even at the lower rate, which is the fastest growth in the world. So we don't see any problem regarding residential real estate, irrespective of what else happens. You may get a little slowdown. Every 5 years, we see a slowdown for 6 months, but then it comes back and then it shoots. So, in fact, it's okay that the cycle comes so that the bad players get out of the market and the good players actually benefit in terms of the growth story. So, residential is very clear. Just to add on to what our friend was saying about commercial real estate, it's our belief that if you have the work from home and you have this type of inconsistency in the commercial space, I'd rather take a flexi space then take a regular space. Because if I want to reduce the number of people working with me, or I want to increase the number of people working with me, how can I take a fixed office space? I can take 5,000 square feet, but tomorrow I need 10. or I mean not 5,000, I need 2,500. So I think a flexi workspace is the in thing now. And in the next 5 years also 20 to 30% of all new commercial spaces, A grade, will surely be flexible. But in the mid segment and other segment, we don't know, because none of these players have moved to the mid segment and the lower segment of the commercial real estate. So I'm going to ask him that you now set up another company which is actually doing the mid space and the other space of the commercial real estate, because there is a huge demand in that area and none of us have really gone into it. So maybe I will get into it, because if none of them do it.
So you are getting into it?
I'm ready tomorrow morning.
Just to stop him, we'll do it.
So Ghulam, what do you have to say about it? Because commercial real estate made a strong comeback, even if we are talking about how flex working space is doing really well. And Mr. Hiranandani thinks now it will be 20 to 30% over the overall office space. We are sitting at what, 80 million square feet of absorption in the year gone by, 25 million square feet in the first quarter of calendar year 2026. 30 million square feet. Is this a trend which will take care of some of the slowdown that we are seeing in residential real estate? I'm quoting your numbers only, 4% decline in calendar year 2026 when it came to sales. What are the trends suggesting now?
Normally, it's when I and Niranjan Bhai sitting together, we are on poles apart. I'll continue the trend, and Karan, allow me, I would want to contradict you as well.
Sure.
Here it comes, couple of numbers I'll throw. When we're talking about India breaching 1 billion square feet of office space market, what am I looking up to globally? I think one of your, the global expansion of Indian real estate is what perhaps you're talking about, the rise. The American market is more than 10 times of Indian office market. So they are some 11 odd billion square feet. Next in line is Chinese, which is about 6.5, 7 odd billion. Just above us is Japanese, about 1.8. We are right now 1.1 odd billion. And now let's come to flex spaces. American flex space is about 3%. Japanese 2.6%. And Chinese about 2.8%. We are talking about 10%. I hear Niranjan Bhai saying that we are expecting it to grow to 20%. There's got to be a limit somewhere. If the global trends are telling you something, let's take it seriously. So I understand last 3 years, and again, Karan referred to those data points. Flex spaces were occupying 22% last year. That 81 million we spoke about, 22% was flex spaces. Last year, 72 million, again 22% was flex spaces. Previous year, the year before that, 65 odd million, of which about 18% was flex spaces. So flex spaces has been growing. However, the big difference between the global trend and us is that we have a large chunk of managed offices also coming in that category, which is not so much of a trend globally when you look at that. Here, large corporates are asking, likes of WeWorks to actually take care of their office spaces because there are values, of course. There's a tremendous value coming in, so it's happening. So my only concern is, where will this growth trend end? When we are reaching 2 billion mark, will this be still 25% or it will shrink? I would rather want to believe that we have started on a low base. So this growth we are talking about is so good, unbelievable, that 10% of the overall number is looking big. But as we are growing, overall office space growth happens in the country, it may not continue on the same trajectory. So as we go ahead, maybe it will not be 3%, come down to 3%, maybe 5% or 6% of overall inventory of the space. But the concern is that somewhere it will slow down.
But doesn't that happen with every growth lever that comes by? We see elevated growth, and once it starts growing rapidly,
Agreed.
The absolute number will still grow. The growth rates will come down.
Indeed.
That happens with every space, right?
Indeed. However, as I said, the global numbers are to be looked at. If global patterns 2.5 to 3% is what it is the flex space in the overall market size or overall inventory in any country, somewhere even I have to look at it seriously. That was a point, and now coming to residential, so much for contradicting or fighting with Karan, now coming to Niranjan Bhai. Let's look at residential again. There has been enough of this story that COVID gave us the drive to get bigger spaces. I don't believe. COVID didn't give more money in your pocket, did it? Niranjan Bhai, after his submission, did say that availability of funding is a concern. So somewhere flexibility and how much of money do you have in your pocket does come into effect. So here it is. And again, one more thing which he spoke about is that after 5-6 years, there's a couple of months of a downturn. No, that's about a couple of years of downturn. So if we have reached that stage, if we have reached that 12 o'clock position, and we are actually talking about downturn, so gear up for another 5 years of a downturn. And again, here something else has changed in last few years. India as a country does not look at cycles anymore, residential especially. So every city has its own cycle. Delhi, for that matter, after 2010-11, had a 12 odd years of a long bad patch. And last 5 years, it has started growing and grew like no one's business. The way it doubled up in 2-3 years. Now again, last 2 quarters, Delhi has slowed down. Very evidently slowed down. But Bangalore and Hyderabad markets are yet growing. Mumbai has flattened out. So all these cities are coming up with their own cycles. So gone are the days when the country as such would have had a cycle and downturns, etc. So there comes some respite. Most of the developers today are all over the country. So they have spread their eggs in different baskets. So if NCR market is going through a bad patch, Bangalore market will hold back. So that way the strategies are great. Expansion, about 5-6 years back, the previous cycle, none of these developers were national. Today, most of, at least 10-12 of the top name you talk about, they are national. They're all over the country. However, when it comes to office spaces, it's a big problem. In office space, he was talking about 12,000 developers in Mumbai or Maharashtra. You're talking about RERA data. Would you believe in the whole country, the reliable, reputed office developers, not even 12? 12. Right? So it's a big problem. Office space is going to go through a serious trouble of supply side constraints because no serious developer is entering into it because entry barriers are huge. Your capital, very simple, in residential, you are actually more than 60% of a project cost is taken up by the customer advances. You don't need huge money, but in commercial, you need huge pumping of money to actually complete the asset, and then your first rupee of the inventory or of your revenue comes in. So asset class wise, commercial is going through a sea change where the supply side constraints will have a huge impact. Very little supply will come in, but the demand is shooting up from 80 to 100 maybe next year, but supply is going to be a big problem.
So yeah, that's
no,
my
I think,
guess.
I mean, actually, just to rebuttal, I think the last point that Zia made is actually the most relevant point in this, which is the supply in India, the speed at which it comes on is so slow compared to the amount of demand that actually exists. Today, Indian demand in commercial is driven by a dual engine. It's global businesses, these GCCs that are, rushing to India trying to chase this talent. And then you have a domestic, ecosystem that is growing so rapidly, also fighting for the talent. But the space itself, my team will laugh, but we keep harping on this one point. India has 1 billion square foot of real estate, but New York has 750 million square foot of real estate. So we're so small in comparison to the actual demand population that's there, which is where our model actually ends up, thriving. And that's why we have 10% penetration over 2%, because we're just able to provide that space so much quicker to these companies. We're able to take the space, actually do the fit outs within a span of 4 to 6 months in prime micro markets where these companies actually require space. So I think the model has kind of defied global standards already, and it's happening because, one, the timing of when we entered and when we started this in India in relation to what's happening in the world, business cycles have become so much more dynamic. The way operators think about growing their business is a lot more, agile. They want to have this flexibility. And then COVID actually came and made this like a huge accelerant, and India sort of defied the return to work, sort of like approach to how companies and people came back to the office almost immediately in India, which wasn't the case in other markets, right? In the US, they're still struggling to bring people back into the office. And actually a lot of it has to do with residential also. Like the homes that exist in other markets like the US are big, where they can do a work from home and multiple people in the family actually can work. So India hasn't reached a stage where the housing market also is conducive for someone to work that long at home. And so everyone has chosen the office as the primary place for work. And so it's the surge of, I mean, it's the combination of low supply, low speed of supply. It's a combination of extremely high talent, high amount of hiring and need to create these businesses. And a clear premiumization also that's happening in India. Like the talent is aspirational. They want to work at environments, offices that are nice. Today, every single, large developers building ecosystems. They're focusing so much on food, on having a hotel, in the development, having luxury housing like within it. India's probably the only one place where your office, home, and your mall, ends up being basically in the same place because no one wants to travel and get into traffic. So I think there are a lot of macro bits to why India is different, especially for flex spaces, and why it won't follow, Asian market like China and America, because the underlying market had already run off. Like they're already at, few billion square foot of space. There was easy supplies. Today, if you sort of walk to New York, you can look at every building, and every building is a grade A building that any company can take. In India, you have to come to BKC, or you have to be in Lower Parel, or you have to be in these districts that have basically been created. So that constraint is what's leading to our business and flex spaces, I think, doing quite well.
So as you've been saying, supply has been a concern, and there's huge demand for commercial spaces or flex spaces as well. Let's not talk about the apps, like as Mr. Zia said, the growth rate would slow down. But of course, the absolute number of absorption or contribution coming in from flex spaces would increase. The industry has grown at 17% CAGR in the last couple of years. You have a revenue 40% higher than the listed peers. 20,000 rupees per average revenue per user is your ticket size as well. Will Grade A continue to be the focus point, and you'll expand across the country? Because as Mr. Zia also said, just 12 reputed commercial builders in the country. What would it take to expand across the country? Because it would be a difficult task.
It's really partnering with these 12, 16, 20, real estate developers, and we want to basically with them be the highest repeat customer that they have. Typically, multinationals or single tenants will come, take a space, and then they'll never speak to a developer for the next sort of like 10 years. We are, we build strong relationships with these developers. We see supply that's coming in, years from now. And honestly, we want to just be a very high repeat customer. Like, with Sir, we'll want to take some space in every single commercial asset that he builds, because we know, someone like them will build in the best locations, or they'll create a destination itself. So idea is to just latch on to and partner with sort of like the best developers and just, keep taking space with them.
So you're listening to him then. The partnership is happening here.
Yeah, we're going to sign off just outside.
I'll be the witness to that signature as well. But Mr. Hiranandani, coming back to the cycle that we are in, and Ghulam also spoke about how, yes, there is some stress that is coming by. But what is this one thing that buyers are not understanding at this point in time, maybe from a positive or a negative side, and they should be aware considering the scenario that we are in or interest rate cycle that we are in?
I think there is a demand for a quality of life which did not exist, was not present prior to COVID. Earlier, if you gave them a good house, a good building, they were very happy. That's gone. They want all the facilities conveniently, the accessibility, the transport, the hospital, the availability of shopping mall, as he mentioned over there, and other facilities to be close to the fact that they are. That's the difference. So you now create destinations. So you can today be 10 kilometers away or 20 kilometers away, and you create that as a destination, and you bring all these facilities together, and you will be able to create a new environment completely which did not exist just 5 years ago. And that is continuing to happen in grade A spaces, but also grade B spaces. But this is going to grow much faster. So today when you say that I'm far away destination, but you're making an isolated building, that's not going to work anymore today. It's gone. It used to be there, but it won't exist in the future. If you're not able to convince your customer and client that the future destination is something where you will get your school, whether you will get your hospital, whether you'll get your accessibility to retail or entertainment, which is there in the nearby, those destinations are not going to go. The third point is infrastructure. You better do something about Bangalore. Huh? The traffic is horrible.
Mumbai as well, I mean.
I think we need to do something.
Far ahead, let me tell you.
I think we need to do something. And since you're the king there, you better, push the government to do it. But look at the difference. We are going to put 300 kilometers of metro in the next 2 years. We have a cross-harbor bridge. We are doing Mumbai 3.0. We have the second airport. We are planning the third airport. We have a coastal road. All these things are going to create new destinations which are going to be different. So exactly for a change, I'm supporting what Ghulam said. You're getting areas where the growth story is going to be stupendous and the places where the things are not going to grow equally strongly. And one of the rare times when we both agree on the issues, that yes, you will get islands of excellence, islands where things are not doing as well as other things are there. But one change surprises Niranjan Hiranandani. I've never seen in my 45 years plus of business the downfall of affordable housing to the extent to which it has taken place in the last 20 months. I'm scared. It can't happen in India because you have to cater for that segment. I have been thinking. We are debating with the government. We are suggesting. We only think that rental housing is going to be the answer to that. Just like you have rental for commercial, you will have to do it. Government of India is considering it. Our state governments are looking at it. And I think we will have to give some incentivization to create it. And CSR money, charitable trusts, and others will have to create something on rental housing in the next couple of years because this segment is scary. You can't have a country where growth is taking place, how land is getting expensive, homes are becoming expensive, inflation is taking place, and you're not able to have a full answer for this segment. Yeah. How can you have Atmanirbhar Bharat and growth and prosperity that we see without this segment taking place? So affordable housing will come, has to come, and if government will have to do, private sector will have to support, funding will come in, not come today.
But it's time.
It has to come. Okay. I mean, there's no alternative to it. So we will do it similar to what is commercial. And number two, I'm asking him that even grade B commercial he should get into. If you want to continue growing at 20%, 30% for the next 10, 20 years, he'll have to get into grade A and grade B. That's my reading.
That's a conversation we can have after this panel as well. But Ghulam, quickly if you can tell us, because we've been talking about FI investments, that's been the big talking point, be it stock markets, be it any other sector. What about real estate? Commercial real estate has been seeing a lot of interest. Has that continued despite whatever's happening?
Well, there has been a shrinkage in foreign investment in Indian real estate. And that's perhaps because of lack of good office opportunities, because of foreign investors are not keen to invest in residential side, because of intrinsic concerns, etc. Many of them are actually looking at investing in residential as well. So when a Blackstone takes up a position in a listed residential player, it tells you another story. However, those are far and few. The focus remains office for foreign investment to come in. Of course, warehousing is another sector where foreign investment has come in hordes. So last couple of years, these two sectors have taken lion's share of FIs. The problem is overall shrinkage in this funding coming in to India is something which is worrisome. So in the long term, we have to look at allowing Indian funds, Indian money also to pump into real estate, create good opportunities for our own money to come in. The Atmanirbhar Bharat we are talking about, I'm sure we are not talking about completely replacing FDI, but giving more opportunities for Indian funds also. And there are quite a few Indian funds who have actually taken positions in residential side. So it's not that residential does not have funding. many of these funds have actually, India-grown funds have been investing in residential and getting good returns also. So overall, I would believe that as the country is growing, the real estate is growing, somewhere foreign investment has fallen behind.
Okay.
But FIIs have moved out of the capital markets, but the Indian money has come in. So I mean, just to have another view also from, we have to differ sometime. I do believe that Indian real estate, more money will come into real estate on the residential side if the rental thing is also created. And we don't need to worry about American money or FDI only. Indian people will put in, charitable trusts will put in, CSR will put in. Companies used to have service apartments in their days, in the good old days. We have removed all the benefits for the purposes of doing it. We are giving it for ownership, but not for rental. So we have to do that.
No, I just wanted to, talk about like maybe the REITs in this context, because the REITs have, seen considerable sort of like interest in this week. We had a new REIT that's getting listed, which got subscribed almost, 30 times in its in the IPO listing itself. So clearly, foreign investors are, getting much more accepting to that as a product in India, because they see this commercial growth story, continuing to play out when it comes to the REITs. And I think what Sir was also saying is that eventually, there will need to be residential REITs, and there will need to see an sort of like extension of that product to other real estate asset classes which exist in the US and in China. And investors and foreign investors will come in where there's murkiness is removed, and this, this issue with approvals and being part of a business that, isn't clear in how they'll be able to actually monetize moves away, and it's slightly more liquid. I think, foreign investors will continue to definitely invest in those.
A lot of steps have been taken on REITs, but of course, it's the 6th listed REIT now in the markets. A lot more questions, but such an interesting conversation. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. Varied views, and that made it even more interesting. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you, panelists, for such an engaging conversation, and thank you, Sonal. Once again, a huge round of applause for them. Well, some businesses compete in existing markets, others create entirely new ones. Creating a new market is never just about launching a product. It is about changing habits, building trust, shaping consumer behavior, and often solving problems people did not fully realize existed. And once that market begins to grow, the challenge becomes even bigger, staying ahead in the very category you helped create. So what does it really take to build and lead businesses in markets that did not exist before? That is the focus of our last discussion this evening. And joining me for the discussion are the leaders who entered spaces where consumer behavior was still evolving, demand was uncertain, and there was no established blueprint to follow. Whether it was online healthcare, sleep and wellness, or managed luxury stays, these businesses had first to convince customers that the category itself mattered before they could build scale around it. Please put your hands together for Harshal Salo, the co-founder of the Sleep Company. Next up is Ankush Grover, co-founder and global CEO Rebel Foods, and Pranam Maheshwari, co-founder of Stay Vista. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, 6 to 8 years ago, a smart mattress sounded niche, a luxury villa rental sounded aspirational, and of course, a billion-dollar food company without dining rooms sounded improbable. Today, all three are mainstream consumer behaviors, thanks to these gentlemen and founders on stage with me. So let's find out how they won in markets that didn't exist before. Harshal, let me quickly start with you. The Sleep Company was founded in 2019. And your first offline store was opened in mid-2020. So that means the earliest phase of customer education largely happened online and during the pandemic years. So how did this unusual start sort of shape the company's DNA in terms of, storytelling, customer trust, product demonstration, and of course, the later pivot to offline retail?
Yeah. So we started in 2019, and we started by selling online in a category which had to be felt, a category which had to be experienced. And very early on in our journey, we realized that it was a tough job, and the only way to do it was to make sure that your content was like your demonstration, and ensuring that you give a lot of clarity out to your customers and keep it very simple. So we launched our own proprietary patented material called the Smart Grid technology and tried to keep the science of it very, very simple. And that really helped us going forward when we opened our stores, because it gave us a lot of clarity in terms of really understanding customer pain points, designing our stores and our customer journeys around it, and ensuring that today sleep is just not taken lightly, but very, very seriously, and people are given and made to experience all the right kind of products.
Absolutely, because this category was not heard of. And so what you're saying is that being digital first actually helped you, later help the offline expansion be more sharper, more data-led. Pranav, let me first go to you now. Stay Vista started with a single holiday home in 2015 in Lonavala. Long before luxury villa rentals sort of became a mainstream travel category in India. Did you ever second-guess yourself or question yourself whether, affluent Indian travelers will trust professionally managed vacation homes? And what was the first signal that gave you the confidence that this was no longer a niche business, but it was actually a structural travel shift?
Yeah, so absolutely. In fact, when we started back in 2015, the market was very, very unorganized. So market always existed. There are more and enough homes in the country, but these homes were always locked, or the way to book these homes was very unorganized. What we came up with was trying to build a reliability aspect to this market, which was unorganized. And it was a matter of time. Indians as a community love to travel together. We travel in families, friends, milestones, events, all of this. So it was just a matter of time someone raises their hand up and says that, okay, I am going to build reliability in terms of the space, F&B offerings, the entire experience, and ensure that the trust can come into the space. So we were lucky that many of our homeowners trusted us and allowed us to open their home, which was earlier, the access was reduced to only few. So the large part of credit goes to the homeowners who allowed us to do that. And then once someone tasted their blood in terms of ensuring the private spaces is great, the memories which you can create in a home is unparalleled while the group being together. So that really worked the magic for us.
So do you remember that, do you have a fond memory of when you were like, yes, this has become a mainstream shift?
So when we started with 4 homes. In the second month, we got a call asking that, can I go to another place? And typically in hospitality, user acquisition cost is very high, loyalty is very low. We realized very soon that both on demand and supply side, the loyalty was very, very high. Almost 70% of our guests, even today, are repeat and referral. And almost 60% of our homes comes through references. So that made us realize that there is a business which you can build in with sensible unit economics and a profitability to it in the hospitality segment.
All right. Ankush, let me come to you, the true rebel that we have on the panel. Rebel Foods, you literally pioneered the idea that restaurant brands could scale without having dining rooms. The recent funding that you raised last year, QIA, they suggest that Rebel is now looking at physical restaurants and food court spaces alongside cloud kitchens. Now, is this a strategic move, or is it simply the next evolution of building omni-channel food brands in India?
Yeah, so I think, first of all, our purpose for 14 years we've been building this is always because almost all industries, technology changed, like the way people shop, the way they travel, cabs. I think food is one, which is the oldest, 500 years old industry, was not touched by technology. I think that was the purpose. How do we leverage technology and take on status quo that you always walk into a restaurant, or you always think one place is one brand. How do we change it. I think that's what we've been doing for so long. And I think over the period, we also realized that, so one location, multiple restaurants, multiple brands, and digital. And with time, we also started looking at multiple customer missions. So like we also invested in a brand called Smoor, which is largely premium chocolates, which you see at airports. Then we also have Wendy's as a franchisee for India, which we do both. So I think it's more about reaching your customer. And again, all these locations, how do we leverage technology to do better and build our business? So I think that's the purpose, and that's what we're trying to work on. Yeah.
All right. So, all three of you have built behavioral shifts, whether sleep, travel, or food. But creating demand is one thing, and building a moat is another. And Harsha, let me come to you again. You spoke about smart grid technology. Now, that could have been the initial differentiator, because we all know that consumer brands eventually, compete far more than technology alone. And as the space gets more crowded, what do you believe is now your moat?
So you're right? Smart grid was our first point of entry into the market. It was a differentiator. But as we go forward in our business journeys, we need to make multiple moats. And I look at moat as a combination of multiple factors. One of those important factors is also our experience centers, or our go-to-market strategy, where we focus on customer education and customer experience. We believe that a brand is our moat, and we want to continue to keep evolving our brand. We also believe that customer experience is extremely important, and as a company, we are both backward and forward integrated. So we are able to control the end-to-end customer experience and delight them at multiple touch points, whether it is at our experience centers, whether it is at the delivery, whether it is at our installation services. And I think the most important moat that we have is customer trust, right?
Yeah.
So a customer whose sleep has improved by using our products is probably the most defensible moat that we have.
How much? By how much? Give us the figure.
No, so I think we have 90% of our customers who said that they've got better sleep after using our products. More than 85% of the customers have experienced reduction in back pain after using our products. So those numbers speak for themselves, right? And that's the reason we exist as a company, and that's our purpose.
And that's definitely your biggest moat. Pranav, again, coming to you, hospitality is usually associated with high capital density, yet Stay Vista has repeatedly spoken about how capital efficient you are. Was that discipline, was that a deliberate design that you have to be, leaner and, more selective? Because, you were sort of building this new category and, before institutional capital so far was widely acceptable.
Yeah, so it was both, I would say. It was a choice and a force for us. We are, as a team, one Gujarati and two Marwari building business.
Yes.
So this is part of a DNA. But the properties which we go after and the category itself doesn't allow you to be careless. We are working with high-value assets, homeowners, guests. Honestly, what keeps a homeowner, doesn't provide homeowner sleep at night is the kind of person who's walking into the property, and is the property going to get damaged. So we are trustworthy partners for them, and that is what we were solving for. In that journey, we realized very soon that you cannot buy trust by spending money. It needs to happen consistently over the period of time, again and again, and it's going to be a slow exercise. While doing that, we wanted to always ensure that we are not reliant on external capital. We can derive our own outcomes by that, and we were very comfortable with the pace which we are building it with.
All right, Ankush, over the years, Rebel Foods has, of course, built a diversified food brand portfolio in the market. At scale today, what matters more? Is owning kitchen infrastructure, owning consumer data, or owning brands that have strong recall and repeat behavior?
I think first, food is a slightly tricky because that's something you take inside your body. And that's why a bad hotel stay or a bad sleep you can still fix, but a bad stomach pains you a lot and you hate it. So I think for us, the core of thing is three things, which is for food, which always matter is taste, quality, and value. I think that's the core which we worked. And over the years, I think the moat we build with, again, I said, technologies are always a focus is today ability to host, build, and launch more loved customer brands across nations. So today, if you ask me, So our focus is, again, understand more customer, which is obviously more data now with AI understanding. So what we're building today is, at scale, we have standardization as well as customization, which is an option. So because South is spicy, North is less spicy. So that's what we're building with more tech. And again, this platform, what we've built over the years now, let me launch, just to give you an example, Wendy's, we launched 200 of them in 4 years, which has never been done globally anywhere, because that's the capability we've built with technology, with the back end of our kitchen infrastructure, with our supply chain, and multiple restaurants managed within one infrastructure. And that's, I think, what we build as a moat.
Okay.
But core of it for food will always be these three things, because it's, again, goes inside our body, and roti kapda makan.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree with you on that. But, customer expectations have changed drastically as well. Let's talk about the customer today versus, let's say, 5 years ago. Harshal, the sleep company's growth story has clearly evolved from a pure D2C into a much larger omni-channel play today. You've described the consumer journey as ROPO, research online, purchase offline. And recent reports suggest that offline sales for you have contributed, it's a majority share today. So what did that shift teach you about the consumer of today?
Yeah, so what we learned about the Indian consumer is that sleep is becoming very important for them, and they are doing a lot of their research. Most of the research that all our consumers are doing is online, where they're going to our website, comparing us versus other brands, competition. But at the same time, they are not ready to make a purchase only by doing online research.
Yes.
They want to feel the product, they want to touch the product, they want to experience it, they want to know more about it, and that's where our experience centers come into play. So I think today in this category, both are required. Online is to probably generate curiosity amongst customers, and offline is more of a conversion-led model. But when a customer is coming in, they are coming in with a lot of knowledge about what they are looking for, what their problem statements are. They've compared us with a lot of competition, and that's really the behavior that is changing. So I feel India is evolving. Sleep is becoming a very, very big priority, and that is really heartening for us to see as a brand.
Absolutely. Pranav, with Vista Residences, Stay Vista is now moving into urban boutique stays, a very different demand pattern from the leisure villas that you were offering. What is the thesis behind sort of entering urban hospitality now? You're competing with Airbnbs. What are you offering that, service departments don't?
The thesis is simple. Indian travel is not restricted only for holidays. We are traveling all the time for work, meetings, events, even leisure happens in cities. And if you look at the supply which exists, it would be hotels which will have an impersonal and maybe an expensive kind of offering for a longer term stay, or you have unorganized service apartment or Airbnbs. Where we come in is bring that Stay Vista element of a home to the city, ensuring that what you will get is a good, nice service along with all the reliable parameters into the space. And it is actually not a diversion, but more of an extension to the brand, which was built by taking a lot of feedbacks from our existing consumers. So we got a lot of feedback saying that, do you have a space in Mumbai or Delhi or Gurgaon? I would like to go there. And fortunately, few of our homeowners had apartments available, and that is where we started the Vista Residence.
All right. Ankush, food delivery, of course, has evolved from occasional convenience to a everyday habit. But now the conversation is shifting again. It's now become more about speed, premiumization, healthy meals, quick commerce integrations. Over the next 5 years, what does the next phase of Indian food delivery look like, and where does Rebel find itself?
So you're right. I think, Indians have now well-traveled. So if I go back, like it used to be Indian, South Indian or Chinese, now kids want sushi, some want Korean. So I think more variety. Again, as you said, more habit. And also I think there are two ways it is being growing. One is obviously, if you look at sandwiches, Chinese, sushi, then you have more Korean coming. And the other side is health, where I think what we feel, which we want to build is more on the habit, on the lifestyle side, and work on more, again, further leveraging technology in terms of what is my Whoop saying, what I am feeling today, or what is my health device saying, and then accordingly, if we can cater to the demand for the customer. So maybe on the health side, we are working on 2-3 things, and on the other side, on indulgence, again, there are 2-3 brands which are in progress. But overall, I think the way, if you look at Western world, people consume around 20 times, order delivery 20 times. India is still 5 to 10 times. So I think there's a huge upside. It's again going to become a habit. This is my go-to place for breakfast. This is my go-to place for this. I will change to this is my go-to place to order breakfast and this is my go-to place to order lunch. I think
yes,
that's
and you know, you also experimented with quickies and rapid delivery formats. What did that pilot, you had a one city pilot, what did that pilot sort of reveal as to how fast food can realistically and profitably move?
So I think the big realization where there is, while earlier it was all convenience, but I think now, again, with per capita income increasing, and I think it's more about habit and choice. So I think speed is given now, but I think more is in terms of what I'm consuming. So I think that's where we did that pilot to understand how consumer changed towards, because again, groceries, same thing I'm ordering from different places. I think here the brand and food matters.
Sure.
So that's where we'll follow what comes, but I think right now, I think our focus is to building great consumer products, brands, and leverage technology to reach right product to the consumer. Speed is given, and we'll try whatever. It's a distance-based thing. It's more coverage. So
all right.
The focus is on food.
And not food delivery.
How to leverage technology to reach to our customers. No, technology, and again, delivery. We do delivery still from each deliver from our websites, from warehouse and all, and we work with our partners. But I think the focus is, again, core. Because I think next 5 years, if I look at, so we have UAE business. So our health brand is growing like 3x every year, and how consumer trends are changing there. It's not only so for India, health is still salads. But I think every meal occasion now, we have 4 health brands in UAE, which is salads, which is Arabic meals, which is healthy, then again high protein. But I think India is going in that direction. So we're working more towards how that same thing comes here. Yeah.
All right. Now, you know, each of your businesses has clearly moved from category creation to institutional scale. So let's talk expansion. Pranav, you know, Stay Vista turned profitable with FY25 operating revenue reported at 181 crores and profit of 3.6 crores. Your co-founder has also publicly spoken about a 2028 public listing. Before a business like yours is ready for public scrutiny, what do you believe needs to become more predictable? You know, occupancy, trends, repeat behavior.
Yeah, so you rightly said, I think there are 4 pillars in our view. One is that our supply needs to be deep and varied so that we are catering to wider set of audiences. At the same time, the experience cannot be compromised. So it needs to be built basis keeping the experience in mind, and experience needs to continuously keep improving. The second aspect, the only truth to hospitality business is the repeat numbers. So our repeat numbers today is good, but we need to continuously keep sustaining that and ensure that the consumer love which we are getting at this scale is continuously we keep getting at bigger scales.
And you're still sticking to the 2028 target?
So 2028 is about 2 years from now. I think if we keep doing these things consistently, for us it is not a milestone of sort, but definitely a responsibility. Whether it will be 1 year up or down is anyone's guess. But if you are able to do this on a routine basis at a particular scale, grow predictably, like you rightly said, and there's an element of our business model is unique. We need to provide that education to the investor community at large, that we are not a hotel, we are not an aggregator, but we are something in between and doing something new in the category creation side of it. So if not 2028, maybe 29 or 30 for sure.
Ankush, what about you? Are you filing your DRHP by end of this month, and will you be taking the confidentiality route?
I know the answer you're looking for, but unfortunately not. But I think, again, as you said, I think what model we follow now is called PSS, which is predictable, sustainable, scalable, and that's the side we're moving as a company. Because, again, as you said, as a category creator, 3 of us, it's not like we are a Uber of India or something. We built something, we figured out, pivoted multiple times. I think when the time is right, we'll go public. But as internally, we'll start operating as a public company maybe from next month. But when we're going public, we don't know. Yeah.
All right. Harshil, what about you and your expansion plans?
Yeah, so, you know, we are a 7-year-old company, right? And we are in a very high growth, high expansion mode. And today, we are also experimenting on multiple things to really see how big we can make this business. And like Ankush said, that we really want to get into that PSS framework.
Yes.
And when we are ready, we will look at IPO. But I don't think there is a deadline to it because I think we still have a lot of time in our journey to figure out the right.
And we also have the Trump factor to cater into. Is that right?
Internally, we can always figure out, but external environment, you guys know what's going on. Yeah.
All right. The rebel is playing safe, but time's almost up. One final question before I let you guys go. All three of you have built businesses in categories that are new, and sort of under-organized. For founders watching this conversation, what is the biggest misconception about category creation, and what would your advice be for founders for the first 3 years of the business that entrepreneurs face, the challenges they face, and that are sort of underestimated?
Yeah, for me, I think something I wish I would have known earlier is that in India, distribution is a product, right? If I look at our omni-channel journey, after we've opened our experience centers, the brand perception has completely changed, right? And it has not changed because the product has changed, but because the experience of the product has changed. So, according to me, that is probably something that I'd like to tell all the aspiring founders, that distribution is definitely very important.
Okay, distribution. Ankush.
So I think if I have to tell someone, I think marry the purpose, that what is the purpose? So if you look at us, we started with this purpose of leveraging technology, and we pivoted from Fasos to cloud kitchens, to multi-brand. Now we have global franchisees. Now we also let other brands like Taco Bell, Papa John's operate out of our kitchen. I think just as a founder, always stick to the purpose which let you start it, and not go, okay, this is the answer I have to double down on. No, yes, you have to double down, but again, go back to the purpose and stick to the purpose always.
All right.
Yeah, for us, I think if you would have known category creation and education would be as important as an acquisition side of things, it will be great. And over the period of time, building things patiently, things take time, especially when it's around building on the segments around service or trust aspect. It compounds over the period of time, but you need to be always cautious that it breaks very easily. So that is what you stand for at the end of the day, is consumer love and trust. And so one should be very patient while building that.
All right, on that note, it's time for me to wrap up this conversation. Gentlemen, many thanks for your insights. It was an absolute pleasure talking to the three of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, with that, we've come to the close of this edition of WeWork India presents CNBC-TV18 The Titans, co-presented by PhonePe. Now, tonight's conversations reflected the ideas, leadership, and innovation shaping India's next phase of growth, from investment and entrepreneurship to real estate, technology, and enterprise transformation. A heartfelt thank you to our presenting partners, WeWork India, and co-presenting partner, PhonePe. A special thank you to our distinguished speakers for sharing their insights and experiences, and to our audience for being part of these meaningful conversations. And finally, thank you once again for being part of WeWork India presents CNBC-TV18 The Titans, co-presented by PhonePe. Have a wonderful evening.